It's the start of a brand new week, and tonight we give you the coverage of the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Tonight's race is Season 7, race number 6, and the drivers of the ISRC Truck Series are ready to test their skills with some more pack racing. After finishing last week at Dover, tonight we get ourselves prepared for 2 miles at Michigan International Speedway as the drivers take off and get prepared for the Blackjack's Dash for Cash 150 here this evening. We got a couple of different cash money races here tonight. We've got the MoCast 5, we got the Dash for Cash Blackjack side, and both are going to have different drivers to watch out for. But this evening it's going to be a fun one, like I said, here at Michigan. Pack racing is going to be a big factor, big wrecks, and drivers are trying to get their wrecks out of their system now for maybe some long racing. I got a feeling that we might be seeing a little bit of chaos later on here tonight. But once again, thanks for joining with us. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is going to be Zach Hall. And Zach, Michigan, a track that has not seen the ISRC Truck Series since Season 2. We're finally back to the Irish Hills to test out this incredible course.
It's amazing to see it's been since Season 2. You know, when I was going back doing the thumbnails, trying to find a screenshot for these guys, I was like, man, it's been that long since we've seen this racetrack, and that is definitely going to make things interesting, I'd say, tonight here with, you know, not a lot of experience for these drivers racing each other on this track. It's been a long time. Mostly everybody here is on the newer side of things too, from back at that point of ISRC's, you know, history. So we'll have to see who can tackle this course the best, but super high speeds, pretty much a drafting pack. I don't see you're going to see many people getting away from each other. It's going to be high stakes action from the drop of the green flag.
And the one thing I'm hearing a lot, it is loose, it is a handful, and will drivers be able to keep their surroundings clear? Because that is always a hard part with pack racing, is sometimes drivers assume they've got space in one area, and then they find out either they're being spun or they're spinning someone around them. But before we get to pack racing, we got to get ourselves prepared for qualifying as practice just comes to a conclusion, where these drivers will have 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap and only 2 laps to do so, as everyone gets ready to get out there on course. Over 30 drivers are going to be racing here tonight. Talked about how this is going to be a money racing evening. We've got 2 different competitions going on. We've got the Blackjack Dash for Cash, which drivers were able to enter in, and whoever finds themselves finishing the highest of these 5 drivers will take the pot of drivers that donated money, that being John Forbes, Ethan Smith, Tyler Dangler, Martin Morales, and Presley Sora are racing for the Blackjack Dash. Then we've got 5 other drivers that were put in a random drawing to see if they'd be a part of the MoCast 5 for tonight's race. And these drivers, whoever finishes the highest of these 5, get a little bit of cash on their side, being Cedric Hunter, Ryan Bird, Thomas Green, Justin Sipes, and Joshua Stovall. So I know for all those Joshua Stovall fans, he's looking to have a good finish here, one of his best if possible. He's been looking quick during practice, but also going for a little bit of extra cash if he could be the highest finisher of those 5. But Zach, Michigan, such a unique track. We talk about its sister track of Auto Club. That's been ran a lot more here in the ISRC Truck Series, but Michigan, we get prepared for some of these first laps. What are some of the factors you're looking for these qualifying runs as you have Mason Cassidy starting his first lap?
Well, the big thing is line choice down here. This track's so fast and so wide. There's so many lines available to you. See, as Cassidy goes down here, look at him. He's running almost the 3rd, 4th groove up top on the racetrack through 1 and 2. And I think you're going to see a lot of people do that. Then when you get down here farther towards 3 and 4, you might see them relocate back to the yellow line, maybe a groove off the yellow line, or even higher than this. And I think Cassidy here, the reason why you're going to see him go high this time is this is coming to his second lap. You want to run that higher groove there, take the longest way around the corner with the least amount of resistance to get that speed built up to start this second lap. That will be the flyer for him. So we'll see if Cassidy can go out there and find more speed on this second lap, and maybe this groove will be in a little bit different spot too. Yeah, it's going to run lower on the track, so about on that second groove, as you can see the differences from that first to second already.
You can see that dark line. That's what we call a seam. There's multiple seams that drivers race for, and with progressive banking, that's where we see that little bit more of a banking the higher you go up. As the top of the ticker board has been changing back and forth. Currently, it's Nick Crawford top of the board. Danny Cochran's going to come up shy by 9/1000ths of a second off of Nick Crawford. Joshua Kanata now top of the board for the 16, and this is one of those fast tracks. Drivers going to go full throttle practically all the way around, and it is all about who can carry the most speed around, and Kanata fastest right now. Mason Cassidy only up to 16th position, and we'll see if any other drivers can match the pace that the 16 of Kanata just put down, as still have about 10 to 8 drivers still waiting to get their first and second laps finished up. As Kanata, Nick Crawford, Danny Cochran, your fastest 3, with Ethan Smith and Vincent Sora going to be finishing out your top 5 currently. But Zach, this is going to be a fun one overall. The drama of Michigan, this track has brought out a lot of tempers in the past, and coming off of Dover, where some drivers were quite frustrated with the way that race ended, with the amount of cautions that we had, tonight could bring out some major fireworks. As race number 1 back in season 1 here at Michigan, we had 7 cautions. We had 12, which was the last time they ever ran at this course, which kind of what took this track off of the schedule until now, was the fear of a major caution fest. And now John Forbes top of the board. Last driver to win was the 11. He's hoping to maximize once again here tonight, as Thomas Green up to 4th place, Jared Talmadge 17th, and still a few others still on track for a minute. But Zach, I'm excited for the fireworks once we go green.
No doubt, Sam. Yeah, like you said in the past, it's been kind of a little bit more incident-filled races, and I'm not too surprised with that. You talked about it. The cars the trucks are, should say, are a handful tonight. A lot of people talking about how the rear ends are stepping out on them. Well, when you put yourself in a pack, you make that little bit of a mistake that just can easily creep up on you. Well, when you're in that pack, that truck behind you is either very, very close or to the outside of you. That can lead to a lot of incidents playing out. So it's a thing of being in the pack racing while having the handling be a factor here at Michigan can make things very, very tricky. And restarts, of course, always going to be wild, trying to go for those spots early in the run.
As drivers are finishing up qualifying, we got 12 seconds left, and John Forbes looks to be staying on top as no one else is going at full speed with a lap so far. So it looks to be John Forbes, Joshua Kanata, Nick Crawford, Thomas Green, and Danny Cochran, your top 5 after qualifying and finishing up here this evening. Once again, thank you for joining with us on your Monday evening for the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series. This is just race number 6, halfway through the regular season. This is crunch time. If you've been struggling, this is your time to turn around as we enter our warm-up session, as these drivers will have 5 minutes to get any last practice in, and also will give us time to take a look at some of the point standings and how the schedule's been going so far. We'll first move over to the point standings, where things are looking a little bit more solidified as we enter into the halfway point of the regular season. We've seen plenty of our winners be inside of our top 12, as the top 12 in points automatically make the playoffs. If you have a win between 13th in points to 20th in points, you are a bonus driver into the playoffs, and all drivers have a win. They're inside of the top 12. So Zach, there are plenty of spaces for these drivers to look for some great action, but I'm curious, for the drivers that are outside of our top 12, they got a lot of work to get up there, because Garcia is 12 points behind Cedric Hunter, who's our 12th in points.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that gap is definitely growing from that 12th position on back, because like you said, if you're from 13th to the 20th position, you're going to have a win to get yourself to be a bonus driver in those playoffs. So if not, you're going to have to focus on just trying to be consistent and make your way into the top 12 points. So a lot of these guys like Garcia, Talmadge there, definitely, I think, one that you're going to have to watch out for to try to come through. Danny Cochran back in 17th, Ryan Bird, strong, same with Isaac Shelley. Just a lot of really strong drivers that are farther back here still trying to make their way into those playoffs.
And I know fan favorite Joshua Stoley, you see him in 30th. His way to make the playoffs, get inside of the top 20 in points, and then a win. He looks to be too far back, even at this point, unless some drivers completely miss, making it 2 races. He is going to have to march for a win and be inside of our top 20 in one of these next couple of races. As we move over to take a look at how the schedule's been so far this season. Again, this is race number 6. The first 5 races of the season, we've had 5 different pole sitters, 5 different winners, and our most recent, I think, Zach, has to feel amazing to watch and see. Cody Reed is back into the win column for his 2nd ever time in the ISRC Truck Series.
And more importantly, his first win on an oval too, Sam. So that's, I think, really, really good for Cody's confidence heading into Michigan tonight, especially Gateway. We know how much he loves Gateway, so watch out for Cody Reed there. Of course, there he's also great at the road courses at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And then, of course, whoever runs good here at Michigan, we could possibly look into a little bit of a preview there for Auto Club. Very similar style sister racetracks. So we could see very well that someone who performs well here tonight could be good on October 7th.
Well, bringing up sister track as we will now move on to taking a look at our pick'ems here this evening. That's kind of where I moved for my pick'ems. We've raced more often and more recently at Auto Club, and your most recent couple of good runners at Auto Club. It's going to be my pick for tonight, Trenton Jump. Driver to really watch out for from my point of view. A driver that has been having some great highs in the past, still looking for a good run this season. We haven't really seen the same Trenton Jump of the past. Curious if we can turn it around here tonight at a track that's very similar to Auto Club where he's had past success. But Zach, who do you got here tonight as your pick'em here at Michigan?
Well, I was very conflicted tonight coming into this race saying, who am I going to pick? And I was trying to figure it all out. And as I left the chat room, I heard someone say, pick me. And that driver was Vincent Sora. So I had to go with the 15. He said he felt like he would be a factor here tonight. So we'll see if he can do it. He qualified well. Always seems to be like one of the front runners here. I think he'll be trying to go get that victory that's kind of eluded him here these past few weeks.
Not a bad pick at all, and still searching for his first win this season is Vincent Sora. And we also have our 3rd member in the booth running productions in the background, giving you the graphics, camera shots. It's Robert Moyer Jr., and he's going with Thomas Green in the 18. And Thomas Green, not a bad pick, entering tonight, tied 5th in points, and still looking for that first win this season. And he is himself and Vincent Sora, I would say they've been on a similar march of a win is calling their name. The question is, when will it happen?
That's for sure. I mean, we can't forget about Iowa. Thomas Green, I mean, flat out domination from him. So I like that pick from Robert also. I think that could definitely be a great one here tonight. And I think there's a few others. This track really opens up the door for, a different possible winner, but just because of the style of racing it is. So we'll see who can manufacture that win here tonight and pull off maybe the first one of the season for themselves.
Who can find themselves in a victory lane, or will we see our first multi-time winner for season 7 here tonight? As warm-up is finishing up, that means we're about to start to grid up for tonight's race. Tonight's race is at Michigan International Speedway, 105 laps. We do have a stage break, as that's at the end of lap 20. 0 fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. The fuel mileage looks to be around 35 to 37 on fuel. We'll see if anyone risks trying to stretch it a little bit further, but tonight's race could be a key one of who could be making it to the playoffs or changing your fate to have a chance to make that March points wise. As drivers are starting to grid up on the pit road, take a look at our starting grid here tonight. Top of the board, it's the 11 of John Forbes, looking quick and trying to continue to show that speed. Second place, we find Joshua Kanata in the 16. Third is Nick Crawford. Thomas Green going to be in 4th place. Driver to watch out for, Robert Moyer Jr.'s pick. Then we fall to 5th place where we find the 2 of Danny Cochran. 0 with Ethan Smith, one of his better qualifying attempts this season, as he'll be in that top 10 spot. Vincent Sora, Zach Hall's pick, going to be in 7th. Larry Yingling, another quick driver to watch out for here tonight, going to be in 8th place. Joshua Stovall racing for the MoCast 5 in 9th position. And Isaac Shelley finishing out our top 10.
Ali Fonseca will start in the 11th position. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be the 12 of Presley Sora. 77 of Mark Whitley will start in 13th, with 14th going to Christopher Norris. 15th in qualifying will be the 99 of Michael Miller. And Sam's pick, Trenton Jump here tonight, will start in 16th. 17th is going to be the 50 of Samuel Garcia. 18th in qualifying is going to go to the 10 of Jarrett Talmadge, with 19th being the 80 of Justin Sipes, with 20th rounding out our top 20 is Aaron Crail.
In 21st position, we find the 5 machine of Dakota Moniz. 22nd is the 49 of Ryan Bird. 23rd, we find the 13 of Cedric Hunter, who feels like he's got a good chance here tonight, but starting further on back. Tyler Dangler in 24th for the 19. Eric Stamp in 25th. 26th, we find the 17 of the Go Mason machine of Mason Cassidy. Justin Campbell, he's going to be a driver to watch out for climbing through this field. Starts 27th. Another driver is going to climb through the field after getting his win last week. It's the 25 of Cody Reed, starting 28th. Stephen McComas is going to be in the 70 machine starting in 29th, and 30th is the 98 of Malik Kuntz. Your last couple of drivers going to be Justin Forbes in 31st, Mark Morales Jr. in 32nd, 33rd is Joshua Freed, and starting all the way back to the end in the 6th machine, it's Justin Smith in the 34th position. 34 drivers going to take the green. That is a lot of drivers here, Zach, which means there is a lot of traffic to work through, but here is your race analysis entering tonight. 105 lap stage at the end of lap 20. That fuel window looks to be pretty close to 35 to 37 laps on fuel, but who knows how far they can stretch it, especially because some of these drivers have been racing on Wednesday nights with the WSSR Cup Series. Fuel mileage races have been insane recently, and who knows who might try to stretch the fuel out a little bit further.
That's for sure. You know, I looked at it too, Sam, and it's looking like around 37 and a half to 38 laps is at most what you're going to be pushing here tonight. You know, if, you know, we get that caution in a weird area, it possibly could set up that run to the end of the race, but you're going to need to almost go 43 laps to make that possible if we get that stage caution at 20 and then we go green to the end, and that's going to be tough to do. We'll have to see if someone, though, can do it. I mean, we've seen in the past, like you said, it has been interesting to see how much fuel mileage or fuel can save, and it's definitely on the forefront of your mind when you come to a track like Michigan.
Few drivers dealing with some penalties after last week at Dover. Mark Morales is going to be sent to the back of the line with Joshua Stovall, Mark Whitley, and Dakota Moniz. Carryover penalty, if he shows up next week, is going to be Talon Drake. As the pit road is going to be seeing our pace car, it's time for us to get to green flag racing as the Blackjack Dash for Cash 150 is underway. It's Joshua Kanata, it's John Forbes as they line up side by side, roaring into turn number 1.
Great jump. Oh, and the yellow flag's out.
Trouble striking for a driver further on back, and that's Isaac Shelley. Looks to be having trouble as they were blinking out. Confusion further on back, and yellow flag is thrown on iRacing.
That was very interesting. Now, when we were coming to that green flag, there was a giant explosion in the middle of 3 and 4 there. And I don't know if that's what, you know, was from the Isaac Shelley thing, because, you know, we're seeing here, we're going back to look at the replay, but Shelley's, you can't even see him for this restart until it looks like he just kind of all of a sudden blinks in there.
Right there.
Yeah, he's flipping. Yeah, so that was definitely some interesting things going on there for Isaac Shelley. So.
And Shelley's now taking a toe to pit road and getting repairs done there. There have been internet issues. Last week we saw Presley Sora and Vincent Sora. They were blinking a ton. That got drivers in trouble. That brought out an early caution, and looks like, once again, more trouble strikes as Shelley has to go into pit road and bring out our first caution before we even finished lap number 1. These drivers got to resettle, mentally get into the motion, but this actually could be something to watch out for these drivers, is the fact of cold tires. I mean, Zach, we're pacing even more. We did not even get these tires up to temp. This restart could be even more dangerous than what we just saw.
That's for sure. Yeah, it's going to cool the tires down just that much more, and yeah, this is going to be interesting too. I mean, it only makes the stage run that much shorter too, because, you know, 20 laps around here will click off pretty quickly here. So when you're losing laps like this, like, we'll probably be going back green around 5 laps into this race. It's going to be a 15 lap dash to that stage, and we see how aggressive sometimes people can get for those stage points. It's going to be quite the show, I think, when you drop the green flag back, just especially with the cold tires and everybody trying to fight for stage points.
One driver does pull into pit road. That's going to be Seeing the likes of Justin Campbell. Joining with him is going to be Joshua Stovall and Mark Morales going to be pulling into pit road. They'll see what type of issues are, or if they're just coming in to top off on fuel. That could be another decision that they're going for. Got a question in chat. What was the penalty given out for Joshua Stovall? Penalties were given out after last week. There were reckless driving penalties after being involved in multiple incidences. I know Mark Whitley, Joshua Stovall, both were given reckless driving last week, coming to the end of the race. Also, other penalties that were given out. Mark Morales, due to being involved with multiple incidences. Same for Dakota Moniz. They both were sent to the end of the line with an L1 penalty. So that's the end of the line penalty to start the race off. And that is the only penalty given. So for Stovall, also coming into pit road, topping off on fuel. The 42 is going to be starting all the way back in 33rd position. 32nd, Mark Morales, who also topped off with Justin Campbell. And Isaac Shelley still getting required damage done. Rest of the field has not pitted, and it's John Forbes, Joshua Kanata being up front. And Zach, you touched on it, the fact that this stage is shortened. I'm curious on those that are just outside of the top 10. Will they be patient enough to wait a couple of laps, or is it right when we go green, that first lap, you're trying to dive down low to go 3 wide immediately into the first corner?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's immediate. You know, when you get those early yellows too like this, when you're a driver and you get the drop of the green flag, all your adrenaline and emotions are building up to the drop, that point of the start of the race, and then you get a yellow flag within the first 10 to 15 seconds. It kind of, pulls the reins back on the racehorse almost. It just says, hold up, wait a minute. And it kind of gets you back, maybe a little flustered sometimes, and even a little bit more ready to go, and just less patient. So we'll see if any of the drivers utilize that technique, or are they a little bit more, gun shy and just try to ride in the back more and try to miss some of this carnage. So we'll see how it works out. But for guys like Larry Yingling, Michael Miller, Christopher Norris, Presley Sora, right there 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, that's going to be an interesting group. And once we get this green flag here.
It absolutely will. I mean, Michael Miller, who you just named, he's 16th in points. So if he has a good stage points day, this could reset him into a fight, try to point his way into the playoffs in just over a month and a half. But we'll see how these drivers want to take this restart. We didn't even get through turns 1 before our first yellow came out. Let's see if we can finish a lap at least here. Pace car pulls it into pit road. And our first official restart of the night, it is your Blackjack Dash for Cash 150 into the restart zone. And we are green with John Forbes, Joshua Kanata. Kanata was trying to jump the start and get in line with the 11, had to back off, but they still stay side by side down into turn number 1.
Side by side, like you said, and Kanata's actually going to have the preferred groove here on the bottom, but once they come off of 2, usually the outside line's the way to go. But Nick Crawford, teammates with John Forbes, is going to give the push here now to the 16 to Joshua Kanata on the back straightaway. Danny Cochran in the 2. He's already going to make it 3 wide. So here we're already showing the aggressions here.
Drivers really wanting to get back into that win column, and one of those being the 2, Danny Cochran, diving it down low, trying to get his way forward as quickly as possible. They'll be stacked 3 wide, battling for that 3rd place position. Now make it 2nd place, as Joshua Kanata will lead a lap before this race is over, and we finally complete a full lap. Let the chaos reign, because now we're at full song, heading down into turn number 1.
There we go, still almost stacked up 3 wide. Cochran's going to slide in behind the 74 Crawford there, but on the outer groove, looks like Michael Miller way up the groove there on the exit, but it's going to all solidify as they come down the back straightaway. It's Larry Yingling in the middle of 3 wide, Presley Sora, and Trenton Jump on the outside of the 67.
That trio has been stuck 3 wide since the drop of the green, and they continue to be fighting back and forth on who's going to be taking that spot. It looks like Larry Yingling's going to be the one that backs out. Presley Sora continues to stay low, but just nowhere to go now with Ollie Fonseca holding off that inside row, as everyone else up front single filing out at this moment. But we are already seeing some big movers. Michael Miller already up 6 positions. He's done a fabulous job moving up inside of the top 10. Other drivers further on back trying to make the climb. Cedric Hunter's up to 16th. And a couple of others further on back, taking their time patiently, is going to be seeing how Mark Whitley and a few others, do they put the pressure on to get up front, or do they wait for the big one to strike? Because this is pack racing, just like you would see at Daytona and Talladega, but there is all about the saving of your rubber while pack racing with one another.
That's exactly right, Sam. Yeah, the tires will fall off still here. It's kind of unlike Daytona and Talladega there with that aspect of it, but very similar to somewhat of Atlanta Motor Speedway. So you'll see these guys really have to manage their stuff as farther back there. Michael Miller, he had big trouble there in the middle of the corner, but there's actually a stack up ahead of him that's making everything a little bit crazy with Ethan Smith now 3 wide, Danny Cochran in the 38 of Christopher Norris, who's making up a lot of ground just running that outer groove.
I know this field was doing a lot of practice, and 1 hour of practice it had before qualifying, just trying to figure out the tendencies of this truck in a big pack, what it's like to give a push, what it's like to be making sliding moves, putting dirty air on someone's nose right in the center of the corner, and trying some moves that would help you advance forward, but also race defensively if possible. And saw that drivers, it was more of awareness levels that you have to have cranked up to the maxes into the wall. Looked like John Forbes is going to be scattering drivers to the outside as everyone just reacting to those that graze the wall. And luckily everyone stays pointed straight, but the awareness level is the big factor of the night. And oh no, Christopher Norris, Michael Miller colliding into the outside. And just like that, talked about awareness, well, they got sent to the moon.
Oh man, I think this is going to be a good bit of netcode we're going to see here. If we can get an aerial shot of this one down from the top, but 3 wide action in the middle of the field. And I even seen a few times in practice where netcode was a pretty big issue. You can see there, you can't exactly see it from that view, but there was no contact between those two, and it just turns the 99 across the 38's nose. And from there, it is huge damage for both those race cars.
Going down into the corner, and right there, you can see that he's already hooking. You can still see the Goodyear on the side of Christopher Norris, so there was no true contact made. Both drivers go creaming into the outside wall. And for Miller, Norris, their race just going to be a little bit longer as required damage is given to both drivers.
What a ride there for Christopher Norris. It looks like his truck pretty destroyed, but Michael Miller is, it seems like his motor expired. So Christopher Norris looks like, still required damage for him, but I don't think it'll be as worse. So it's a tough beginning for those two early in this race.
And this is now going to give chances for drivers to head into pit road, get service done. Thomas Green, Justin Sipes, Jared Talmadge, all heading to pit road to get service done for themselves. As Michael Miller's night, he's going to be in pit road minimum at least 30 minutes. Probably a max of maybe what? Zach, required damage for blown engines, anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. It's going to be a while if the 99 decides to even try to attempt to get back out there on track.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's going to be around 30 to 40 minutes before he can get back out there. And at that point, would it be even worth it? Because, the only person who is still out there 9 laps down and is hurt is Isaac Shelley. So maybe those two will have a race to see who can get their required damage fixed faster. But it's definitely unfortunate to see that netcode cause that incident, because we were having some good racing there.
We certainly were. And now the drivers in the field resettle in. Get prepared, waiting for the lights to turn off where we get stacked side by side. But again, thank you so much for joining with us on your Monday night. Michigan, a track that has been feared to put on the schedule. Season 2, we are currently in season 7 with the return of Michigan. And the reason why it was feared is because this track has the chances of bringing out these wrecks in with the netcode issues that have been kind of floating around, getting worse and worse over these last couple of months. It was a big worry with how close everyone has to ride, but past races, back in season 1, we had 7 cautions where Thomas Walter found himself in a victory lane during that race. And then season 2, last time they ran here, it was John Forbes taking it to victory lane with 12 cautions. And that race had so many wrecks and cautions, the race actually went into a time limit race where they only had a 1-lap shootout to figure out who's going to win the race. Here tonight, I don't think we're going to need time. but we're only 12 laps in, and we've already ran 15 minutes. I think time-wise, we're going to be good, with only 105 laps to run here this evening.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how long this one plays out here. If we get a good bit of yellows, but right now double filed back up. Looks like pace car lights are off, and we're getting ready to go back to action. Kanata was having a great battle there with John Forbes, and we saw them all scatter on the back straightaway there, reacting to Forbes getting into the outside wall. I don't know if that had some type of effect getting down into the corner. It caused that caution there, but definitely been some interesting racing, to say up front. But we'll see right here when we get to this lap 20 stage who's going to be able to take home those 10 bonus points.
10 bonus points on the line. Whoever's inside of the top 10 by the end of lap 20, or if there's a caution between lap 15 to 20, that would also end this stage. Isaac Shelley has called it an evening for the 71. That's going to be our first DNF of the night. Drivers that are on the lead lap going to be our top 31 drivers, as Christopher Norris as well as Michael Miller still get damage repairs. This piece car goes into pit road. It's time to get back to Green Flag Racing. 8 laps to go before the stage is over. Who's gonna maximize those points as Joshua Kanata gets the launch, stays ahead, and fully clear of Vincent Sora.
Excellent launch from Kanata, but it's going to be Vincent Sora who's immediately trying to look to the inside there. Kanata closes the door, though, on the entry to 1, and now they're going to race single file out of the corner from the first 2 positions, but it's going to be, looks like Nicholas Crawford on the outside of John Forbes there, as he's going to have a head of steam down the back straightaway. And what I've seen from so far this race, the outside line gets such a good run down the back stretch.
They really do, as Crawford's going to go to that 3rd lane. Kanata stays low. Vincent Sora moving in front of the 74, but it's John Forbes who has the big run, trying to solidify his way into that 3rd place position. He'll fight side by side, and now Vincent Sora will go to the inside of Kanata. And also seeing the likes of Trenton Jump, Danny Cochran, they're now in the mix, and Presley Sora also there as the pass for the lead is underway. Vincent Sora going with the slide job move, and he'll fully clear of the 16, but Kanata doesn't want to give up that spot. He stays high and pushes the 15 down to the inside groove.
Oh, that's the worst case scenario for Vincent Sora there. He felt like he was going to clear, and when you get someone to that right rear quarter panel, right on the late exit of the corner, it just kills the momentum of your run off the corner. Right here, Kanata loving what he's doing, working that outer groove. He's also going to have help, but the cautions are happening behind. Looks like McComas in the wall.
It's Stephen McComas in the 70 machine, going for a little bit of a spill for himself, as McComas and it looks like Malik Kuntz getting involved with one another. And Zach, hate to say it again, but I think this one might also be a little bit of net code, but aggressive driving further on back.
Definitely was interesting to see this one play out. It definitely was a little bit of net code, but we'll see right here. The 70 on the outside of Stephen McComas on the outside. You have the 98 Malik Kuntz. And it looks like the 70 here is going to get a little bit loose, maybe try to close the door. And yeah, net code happened there, but I think that contact was going to happen either way, but it sends both of them spinning and another yellow flag out. But again, this does not end our stage. And it looks like Vincent Sora might have even been the leader at the time of this. So this was interesting timing here for that yellow. Also, as we get another look at this yellow.
Oh, we're going to stay on board with the 98 as there's the netcode contact. Justin Smith also needing to avoid, but the reason we stay on, you saw it there, almost contact into the inside pit wall as the 98 comes sliding through into the grass, holds the brake, finally lets off, tries the counter steer, and ooh, staying off that wall is Malik Kuntz. He continues to race on.
That was as about as close as it's going to get there, Sam, for these drivers, and that was very, very interesting to see. And we also have a lot of busy people on pit road here. Not surprised to see that. I think you could have a few look to stay out here at the stage and jump everybody that's going to pit here at lap 20.
As drivers entering pit road, Thomas Green, Stovall, and a few others that have been coming into pit road and topping off every caution that we have, taking advantage as they're further on back. Up front, Vincent Sora, Joshua Kanata, John Forbes, Nick Crawford, Danny Cochran going to be your top 5, with Presley Sora, Trent Jump, Ali Fonseca, Ethan Smith, and Larry Yingling going to be finishing out our top 10. Biggest mover right now, Trent Jump, up in 9 positions of those that are inside of the top 10. If you look outside the top 10, though, been seeing a couple of other big movers. Joshua Freed, Mark Morales, due to staying out on track, and those that have pitted, they've been able to move up double digits in position, freed up 15 from where they qualified, and Mark Morales up 13 from where he qualified here tonight. And Cedric Hunter up to 11th place, up 12 spots from where he qualified, and has done a great job moving forward. Mark Whitley, part of the drivers that had a penalty to start the race off, he's up to 15th position. And again, fan favorite Joshua Stovall to 26 currently, but he did come into pit road, topped off on fuel. And I think, Zach, the biggest surprise, a lot of the drivers that just pitted, they took a set of tires for themselves with this stop.
Very interesting call there from them. And, you know, with as many yellow flags we had, maybe I could have seen some people just taking fuel there and trying to stay out at the stage, you know, just to see if it works out, because we'll see how much really fall off there is here tonight. With the trucks, it's definitely more than what you would see with a next-gen such car around here. But still, you could definitely utilize that track position and clean air to your advantage if you look to play that strategy. But I think a lot of people want to try to jump the stage, and we'll see how it plays out when the leaders do finally come down, and we'll see if we can at least get the lap 20.
As field gets ready, will we find ourselves with a clean start here, or we get a quick yellow that will end the stage? Top 10 drivers at the end of this stage get bonus points. If you win the stage, get 10 bonus points. Second gets 9 and continues to drop down until 10th place. You only get 1 bonus point at the stage finish. You can still get bonus points for leading the lap, leading the most laps. But everyone knows these stage bonus points can be so crucial to help you get into the playoffs, or can knock you out if you have a bad finish here tonight. Field's racked up and ready to go into turn 3. I mean, Zach, it is going to be a dash. We know chaos is about to rain. I got a feeling those drivers back in 15th and 16th, they're going to be the ones to really watch out where Mark Whitley rides. Ryan Bird, they're going to cause some fun getting through this pack.
Oh, for sure. We're going to see some aggression here picked up to the next notch, because they know they don't have many laps here to get the positions done. Let's see how it works out though here.
Base car making the left-hander to pit road. It means it's time to go green for your Blackjack Dash for Cash 150 here this evening. Vincent Sora hits the loud pedal, and he is already cleared over Joshua Kanata. Kanata's going to be battling with the 11 of John Forbes, who's almost fully cleared. That whole entire inside lane got rolling until you get an 8 on the back, where they're starting to stack up 3 wide action further on back, and it's Larry Yingling in the bright red machine trying to hold back the rest of the field in that 10th place position, as everyone else wants that spot and wants the further up ahead.
Oh, they definitely want those positions. Yingling now put in the middle of the sucker hole as Kelly getting the help from the 9 of Justin Campbell's going to go around the 67 as he falters back to 16th. Everybody trying to go forward, and it looks loose out there for a few race trucks.
And Sam Garcia going to be trying to defend the outside row, because there's the 77 of Mark Whitley. You also see the Barbie machine of Tyler Dangler. A few drivers trying to march on the outside groove. Can they go forward and get into the top 10? Cedric Hunter in that Hello Kitty pink machine is 10th place. Mark Whitley trying to find some spacing to carry the momentum. You can see the run. He's got the speed, gets to the inside quarter panel. That's 1 more driver down. Now it's to get up to that Hello Kitty machine. As up front, they're 3 wide for 3rd place. As it's going to be Nick Crawford, Danny Cochran, as well as Joshua Kanata trying to beat the blue machines of Vincent Sora and John Forbes.
Oh, man, they've been racing super hard up here. Vincent Sora barely clears John Forbes down into the entry to 1, slides up in front of him, and Forbes and him both sideways off the correct, so that stacked everything up. Then you had Crawford diving down to the inside 3 wide, but now you have Forbes looking to the inside of Vincent Sora. Those two almost making contact as they exit off of 2, but which line's going to prevail? He's also got his teammate Danny Cochran there with him with Vincent Sora. That's going to help out, but right now it's Presley Sora trying to come forward also.
Presley Sora trying to make his way forward, trying to run with his brother of Vincent Sora, if possible. Kanata backing off, holding back the 74. The grouping of drivers up front, they know it's crunch time as they cross the line. That's your stage. And John Forbes is able to get the nose ahead over Vincent Sora. What a charge to the end there, as Forbes is your stage winner in 10th place. It looked to be a duel between Ethan Smith, also Cedric Hunter, and Mark Whitley. I believe Whitley just missing out. It goes to Ethan Smith in 10th place.
Great job by Whitley to get all the way to 11th with that penalty. He'll definitely be up here chopping on the heels of the leaders at some point. But man, oh man, great job by John Forbes making the move to the inside. Didn't think that was going to work for him. He made it stick in 3 and 4, where it seems like the inside's very, very strong. And man, got that stage victory and those 10 bonus points that 11 team meet.
That will be your stage here tonight. John Forbes, stage winner. Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, Presley Sora, Joshua Kanata, Nick Crawford, Ollie Fonseca, Trent Jump, Cedric Hunter, and Ethan Smith. 10 drivers that will grab some extra bonus points before the night is over. And now we get ourselves settled in. We saw the pack racing was getting very antsy. This is when it kind of shifts to who's willing to be patient on their tires, because those that pitted and moving up was Eric Stamp, Cody Reed. They were only able to move up to 16th and 17th position. Curious if maybe the other drivers being patient, saving their stuff, and to stay out on this next pit stop. And Zach, this pit stop I think is going to be very crucial for some of these drivers. You don't want to get sent to the middle of this pack where it's the most chaotic. Got a feeling that's where some of these drivers are heading.
That is unfortunate for them that they'll be in the middle of the pack, but yeah, I think they're going to get sent there from this pit strategy that a lot of people are going to employ. And I think a lot of people that took tires there on that first stop, they kind of took it easy. So they're trying to save their stuff, and it looks like, wow, Crawford going to stay out. That's an interesting call in my book from him. With him not pitting here, this is this either a call to get a lap led and hopefully come back down next time by, or just really feeling that pitting right now is not the smartest idea.
And we do have an update on Isaac Shelley. It looks like he was having graphics reconfiguration on his computer that hit him right as we were taking off. That's why his vehicle went so sporadically chaotic there as we were taking the initial start of this race. You hate to see that again for Isaac Shelley. Hope to see him back out on track next week. Another tough course. We're heading to Gateway at Worldwide Technology Raceway as drivers exiting out of pit road. Trent Jump going to be the driver that's further up, winning the run off of pit road. And I'm curious, going to relook at it. Trent Jump only was in his box for 10.5 seconds. That's usually a sign of just taking 2 tires. And Jump, he will jump ahead of John Forbes, Danny Cochran, and the rest of the field in one of the only drivers to take 2 tires on this stop. 46 track position, but he's only up to 12th.
What a call there from him. Yeah, that, like you said, only up to 12th with that 2-tire call. So, yeah, I mean, he beats out all the other drivers who we just saw win the stage, but it'll be interesting to see if he can hang on with those things, especially with how loose this race truck has looked.
As we are going to find ourselves to see if we can bring up our stage winner, John Forbes, as he found himself exiting pit road. Going to be in 13th position. But let's see if we can bring up our stage winner. Number 11, John Forbes, Sam and Zach with the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Well, winner of the stage, you had a great duel up front with Vincent Sora, Joshua Kanata, and everyone else that was up there. And how are you feeling after those first 20 laps of this race?
Yeah, it's you gotta be aggressive, so that's what you gotta do tonight. And looks like we're starting back here in 13th. Got to pass a bunch of guys that either just pit a couple laps ago or haven't pit yet. So we're gonna see how fast we can get through these guys. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I mean, tonight's not really about too much saving. It's gonna be all out. We're all stuck together. There isn't too much tire fall off. I mean, I ran my fastest lap on that last lap of the stage, so yeah, it's gonna be really aggressive the rest of this thing.
Yeah, John, that's definitely going to be aggressive. How's the balance been out there for the race truck, man?
Not bad. I mean, it's not plowing tight like it usually is. I mean, it might get that way in the long run, but I mean, at least being up towards the front, I mean, leading the race, it gets pretty loose. It's why it's so hard to keep that position, because you're just gonna drift up more than the guy behind you, because you don't you got a little air taken off the spoiler. So yeah, it's more balanced. I like it. It's kind of a track that I like to drive just because the setup usually tends to be that way. So we're gonna see how well we can keep it up. It's gonna be a fun one.
All right, John, we'll send you back to your team. Good luck on this restart, and hopefully we'll be talking at the end of the night.
Thank you, guys.
That'll be the Snowy Desert Racing driver of John Forbes, taking the pole, winner of the stage, but now has to start back in 13th position on this restart. Driver up front, 74 Nick Crawford, only driver yet to pit, And we'll see if he can hold up front or does he fall back quickly as the green flag is backing out. It's your Blackjack Dash for Cash 150, and Zach the Unknown starts now as Nick Crawford bringing us some of his fun shenanigans. The Unknown for the 74.
This is definitely the entering of the unknown. Let's see how long he can hang on. I would imagine it's not going to be too bad here starting off just with the tires being very cool. But I think as the tires start to heat up, you'll start to see that wear difference. But farther back, John Forbes, he talked about being aggressive. Well, he's making 3 wide moves back there. You see the blue car on the bottom line.
He's down there, also joining him on that lower line is going to be Vincent Sora, and they want to push forward. They're almost a stack 4 wide in the mixture of this group. Got to be careful as Justin Sipes bouncing further and back. Also Joshua Stovall. Drivers are trying to find little openings to move forward, and it's John Forbes that's moving forward quickly for himself. Trent jump stuck in the middle, nowhere really go, but you can just see the utter madness, the flashing of colors. This group, they all know it is just a waiting moment of who's going to make it forward. But somehow they continue to make it work, and it's John Forbes trying to get some help. He's got Sipes behind him as they go down to turn number 3. But Zach, every time they enter these corners, everyone seems to tighten up as the flag gets a little loose with Dakota Moniz, but he holds steady as they are now a stacked 4 wide, battling back here for 15th, 16th, and all the way back to 21st. This is the madness of a white track that you know that these drivers can handle, but one's down on the apron. This shouldn't work. Sipes stays low, but there's so many fast contenders stuck in the middle of this group.
Wow, there were 5 wide for a moment there on the front straightaway. That was crazy stuff. 4 wide through the corners, and everybody stacked up one another on top of one another. And everybody trying to find their way back up there. I mean, look at Kanata right here. He was the pole sitter of this race. He's back here at 18th, trying to find his way back forward. And we know these race strips right here, as we're right on the back of Danny Cochran, are quick, but they are losing ground to some of the guys up front.
They continue to try to push their way forward. We're seeing drivers that, because of the pit strategies, this is one of the first times being up front. Inside of our top 5 currently, it's the 4 machine of Justin Forbes, and he's squeezed by some of the best here in the ISRC Truck Series, but they're wrecking further behind, and it's Vincent Sora stuck in this one as caution flag is thrown. No big spin, but it looks like some drivers got sideways.
That they did. Yeah, Vincent Sora there, I think, getting some contact from the 00 of Ethan Smith, and this is going to be hard racing contact right there. And what this is going to come down to is one driver ahead trying to clear himself off the nose of the next driver, and the driver behind not lifted for that driver that was clearing himself. So tough break for Vincent Sora there, who gets turned around, but I think it could have been a lot worse for his case if it would have been any different otherwise. So we'll see how it shakes out here on this replay and see what kind of damage he's got, because he definitely hit the wall somewhat decently hard.
Yeah, let's just see here, the 3 wide. Ethan Smith going to be in the middle groove. Vincent Sora goes low, running right below that seam. Right when he hits the seam, he starts to drift up right in front of Ethan Smith. And Smith is running his own lane. And it's one of those moves where you really can't predict the driver's going to just slide up in front of you like that. And Ethan Smith, Vincent Sora make contact, and Dakota Moniz most likely getting the worst of it there of all those drivers.
Definitely. So Dakota Moniz definitely getting the worst of it, kind of saving the 15 from getting into the wall there a little bit. But yeah, this is tough. This is just one of those racing deals where the 00 is trying to get to the quarter pound of the 15. He's gassing up, trying to get there. The 15 is trying to clear himself and make sure he has the nobody on his outside down the back straightaway. And that's just kind of what this track produces when you got a race like that to, make sure that you don't get used up down the straightaway. So tough break, and definitely I think the 15 going to be trying to get some damage repair and now come back from this. This is going to be tough for Vincent Sora, who was right up in the mix, battling for that stage victory.
Yeah, the fuel window we're looking at is around 37 laps. With the amount of cautions, though, these drivers get pushed a little bit further, and that's why driver in second place currently, Nick Crawford, still yet to pit, and he does not go into pit road with this grouping. I mean, Zach, I don't even know if there's really a lap that Crawford's looking for, but it continues to stay out there on track.
That he does. This is definitely an interesting call from the 74's team. Now, the timing of this caution is also very, very interesting in my opinion, too, because with this, it sets us up for about, a 75-lap run to the end of this race. If you can go 38 laps on a tank of fuel, you could be able to make this a one-stop. Now it's getting closer for the other drivers too because of this caution, but definitely more in the realm of the drivers who just filled up to get that one-stop available.
As these drivers are currently pacing, you can see it on the backstretch, the blinding white light as the sun's been out. As we take a look at our weather condition, it's been partly cloudy. That's why we're seeing these kind of massive shades of the sun coming out. So once it gets darker, the track starts to cool off. Once the sun comes out, it gets very bright, heats up the track. But currently your air temperature being 73 degrees, the track temp at a very nice 80 Fahrenheit. The wind's the part that's most concerning here tonight, as it's been shifting up and down over double digits and under, so that could be influencing these drivers on the handling that they're dealing with. And humidity at 35% here tonight. But I mean, Zach, obviously the big factors, wind and the sun, the way that it's being mostly overcast here tonight.
That's for sure. Yeah, when you have overcast skies like this, you'll have kind of like a good bit of cloud coverage move in, track will change a little bit. Then you'll have those moments where the sun will just peek through the clouds and bake the track for a little bit, and it really will heat things up and change it. So those overcast conditions can a lot of times be some of the most changeable conditions just due to the the weather patterns of the clouds. So it's gonna be fun to see who can figure all that out. But looks like now with the pace car lights out, we're all double file back up down the back straightaway, and Nick Crawford, like you said, staying out here. This is an interesting call for him, but it's paid out for him so far.
It has paid out so far. Other drivers have interesting calls for themselves. The only driver that went for 2 tires at our stage break caution to come into pit road, Trent Jump. He's up to 9th place currently. But at the time of that caution, when we were talking about drivers, the number 4 in 7th place, Justin Forbes, getting one of his first chances to run up front, as he will stay up front with the strategy call of pitting in the middle of the stage. Place himself in the top 10 currently. Also might be noticing that car on the second on the inside, there's no number except for a really small one at the back end. That's your 53 machine of Eric Stamp, as he's hoping for the Wolf machine. Good run here tonight. A lot of white and red, a little bit of blue and black for a few, but it's time to see who can survive this evening, as we are back to green. Cody Reed to the point where he was at the end of last week, and he's hoping to go back-to-back as the 25 stays ahead and gets some help from the 53 machine of Eric Stamp at swappage. Now it's going to be the teammates trying to get in line with Nick Crawford and Cody Reed.
Crawford fighting on the mold tires, has not pit once this race, and he's doing a good job of hanging in there down the back straightaway. It's going to be Thomas Green who's behind him, trying to give him the push down here in the 3 and 4, but it's going to be that 53 Stamp fighting on the outside. Cody Reed right in front of Crawford, and I tell you what, Crawford looks like he just has just as much grip as all these drivers slide around. So showing here right now that tire's not mattering too much, at least on these restarts.
Eric Stamp on the outside. Stamp's looking for his second career win if possible here tonight. He got his first back on his debut race, or debut season, I should say, all the way back in season 2, winning at Atlanta on a fuel mileage run. Here tonight, it could come down to a fuel mileage type of a race, but having your traction, being up front, this is a great run for Eric Stamp on the outside, but it's all the assistance of drivers inside, outside. Where can you find the help? And it's Cody Reed still defending and holding back both lanes perfectly, but now you got to be careful. There's a new driver on the outside. That's Presley Sora in the 12. It's Cody putting a huge block on the 12.
Big block on the 12 as the 12 had a huge head of steam. That was a good call from Reed to do, but now he closes the door on the 18 on the bottom. Now this is going to open up the 12 for a run off the exit of the corner, and he's going to get to the quarter panel. Presley Sora, winner from Iowa, trying to go to the point of this race lead.
Presley Sora wanting to have a win where he said he was the dominator, but Thomas Green ducking down low. The 18 seeing a moment to dive for a chance, and now will be 3 wide for second place. 3 wide now for the lead, and both hoping to slide in front of the 12 of Presley Sora, but Cody Reed, Green holds steady, as now John Forbes, your stage winner's getting into the mix here.
John Forbes doing a great job of actually making his way forward from those pit stops. A lot of other drivers have gotten stuck mired back in the top 15, and John Forbes has just methodically found his way forward and into that top 5. He'll be in the lead before you know it, because Thomas Green is holding it on there right in front of him as Forbes now has the door open, but being on that bottom side can lose you out down the straightaway.
And we do have reports of some of the drivers further on back in the field. Trouble striking for Justin Sipes. He has called it a night early for the 80 machine. Also, another driver having trouble having to duck it down into pit road, it looks like, after trouble, is the 49 of Ryan Bird, who actually does get back up to speed as trouble entering into turn 3 for himself. Rest of the field, side drafting aplenty for our front runners, as Cody Reed and Presley Sora will continue to fight back and forth. But behind them, we're seeing Nick Crawford still out there on track. He's going to be out there for 37 laps when he crosses the line, and then he's into the unknown. With the amount of cautions we've had, he's been able to save enough fuel to go a little bit further, but how far can the 74 go is the true question of the night.
That is exactly the question for sure, Sam. Yeah, we know these guys can go about 37 laps under green flag conditions. But with all the cautions we've had, I'd imagine he can go upwards of 42 possibly, maybe even 43. So we'll see if he waits that long. But if he doesn't get a caution very quickly, he could be all by himself on the racetrack.
As these drivers continue put lap after lap down, it is a waiting for who's going to make contact, as Eric Stamp, as well as the 11 of John Forbes, almost get into one another off the exit of the corner. And it's a question of whose tires are going to be left after this long run that we're finally having. And this is the longest run we've had all night long. And already, Zach, we're starting to see this front pack. Some are fading away. Others are starting to make the march forward. And you can see waiting right here, it's the 42. Joshua Stovall is inside of our top 15. This is one of his better runs he's been trying to have right now, but he's got to be patient here because the chaos is starting to mount up in front of him as the 42 makes a slide job move over Joshua Kanata.
Big move to slide up in front of Kanata, but now that opens up the door. Kanata goes back to the inside. He's going to look to have the draft off the 2 of Cochran ahead, but again, down the back straightaway, that outside line, so many more trucks line up out there, and that equates to a better draft from the trucks ahead, so the 42 holds onto that spot. But right now, some great racing going on as Cochran fights to the outside of the 10 of Talmadge, and that's kind of what you got to do is get up close to the driver in front of you and just jump to the outside and get on that right rear.
Get on the right rear and trust that netcode's not going to send you to another dimension is the question for yourself, as this grouping, again, this is the tail end of our front pack currently. As up front, it's still the battle between Cody Reed, Eric Stamp, Presley Sora in trouble for second place. Sora gets sent to the inside wall. Caution flag out. The 12, hard contact for himself as Stamp keeps it together, and they were racing right on top of one another off the exit of the corner, and they finally made contact.
Oh, that's just such a heartbreaker for the 12 of Sora, who, man, just was having such a good run here coming up through the field. And I think we're going to, when we look at this, it's going to be a simple mistake from the 53 of Eric Stamp, where he gets into the outside wall, and the 12 just not expecting it, maybe not seeing it out the corner of his eye, thinks he can slide in behind the 53. 53 checks up, and from there, the wreck happens, and Sora almost went over. Like, we've seen these trucks before, they flip very quickly, and he almost had a moment of a blowover. So we'll see exactly how it played out here on this this replay, but I think right here, just caught off guard with the loss of speed from the 53 on this outer group.
They just come off the exit of the corner. It grazes the wall, makes contact, a little bit of tail whip, and there goes Presley to the inside, and Eric Stamp continues to race on. As for Presley Sora, I mean, he had done everything here tonight. He was caught up in that Isaac Shelley, a little bit of a blink out. He was given a 4X incident point for that situation. And here tonight, just racing for a chance. It's also a little bit tapped John Forbes, I think, what really sent him. But so there are two chances of almost flipping this 12 machine over, but we'll bring out our most recent caution of the night. And I think with that, we are going to try to send it to our first commercial break of the evening as drivers do enter pit road, and one of those finally going there is going to be Nick Crawford, finally getting service done for himself, which is highly needed for the 74. And what a time, as majority of the field also decides to go into pit road. But for us this evening, I want to say thank you for joining with us. You are watching the ISRC Lara Production Truck Series, race number 6 for the Blackjack Dash for Cash 150. We'll be back right after this with more racing action. are back, ladies and gentlemen, as pace car goes into pit road. We enter the restart zone here. Blackjack Dash for Cash 150 is back underway. Eric Stamp, Eric Kralik going to be your front two on the inside row. See Dahlman, John Forbes get in line as majority of our front runners and our top 7 did not pit. Everyone from Cody Reed on back did come into pit road, get service done. That's 8th place on back. Those drivers got service. Few taking 2 tires, a couple taking 4, some just topping off on fuel, and one going very, very low. As drivers continue to race on, that's Malik Kuntz with trouble, but up front for that top spot. Let's go 3 wide as John Forbes doesn't want to wait any longer, but Eric Kralik fights on the outside. The 01 wants a lap lead.
Man, oh man, there's been some great racing. His Stamp has put on a show up front. Now he gives the great push to Kralik as here comes the 10. They get the 11 a push and almost tandem style drafting you're getting to see here early in the going here at Michigan. This has been some great racing, and I tell you who liked that last caution definitely was Nick Crawford. That was right in the window when he had to pit. That yellow helped him, and his strategy played out very well. Now
trouble!
they're wrecking farther back.
Oh, and it's the big one. Multiple drivers piling in. Mark Whitley, Stovall, but I first saw the first driver to spin around, looked to be the 70 machine, and that was going to be Steve McComas going for a ride initially, it looked like, as it was a battle between Mark Whitley and Trent Jump in the 70 machine, and multiple other drivers piling in after.
That it was. You're going to see here the 70s racing the likes of Cody Reed off into the corner. He's going to lose the rear end right here as he slides up the track, and he's going to come down as Whitley was looking to make it 3 wide. There's Trent Jump. It sends Whitley around. Stovall gets involved. Kanata right there. He's seen the 16, and tough break is just a slight mistake from the 70 machine.
And Trent Jump going to be the one who gets the most damage as the 46. Going to get required damage. Right on board Mark Whitley, just trying to focus in there. I mean, these are not like Belema driver incidents. I mean, exactly. These are quick, reactionary. This is just pure raw reaction moves you have to make while everything's squeezing in quickly.
That's for sure, because if you check up too much, you got the 19 right there, Tyler Dingler, not too far behind Mark Whitley. I mean, he probably gets hit in the rear end. So it's one thing that's very, very tough when you have somebody having a moment in front of you, you just try to squeeze by, and then next thing you know it, that person's losing it on your outside, and you are going along for a ride with them. So tough ordeal, but so far Michigan living up to its past here and creating some definitely wild incidents.
And for you Stoll fans, you saw caught up in that incident was the 42. Doesn't look to be too bad of a incident for himself. We'll have to come to pit road and check out how long optional damage will be. But 42 getting that T-bone wreck with the 16. We'll continue on, but yeah, these physics have been very odd as there's the plow right into the wheel well, and luckily no other contact was made, but we'll have to wait and see again how long that optional damage will be for the 42 as we head into pit road once again. Again, we had a feeling that this type of a race could happen with the style of racing this track is, how close everyone's been, the netcode factor that iRacing and online racing kind of brings into this style. This race had the recipe to be this type of a calamity type of a race. It's now up to the drivers up front. I mean, when do you risk to come into pit road? Because we talked about how Nick Crawford was in the window of having to pit under that last caution. Well, now we've got 3 other drivers that pitted in the middle of the stage. Now they're in a questionable spot of when they have to pit.
That's exactly right. Yeah, all these yellows definitely are making the strategy pretty interesting, so to say here. I mean, right now we've just crossed the line to start 46, so we're 60 laps to go in this race, coming to 59 to go. So that right there is, not doable for a one full fuel stretch. So we're going to need to see a pit stop, but there's definitely some interesting calls for, drivers that didn't come down that latest time, like Kralik, Stamp, and, the likes of Jarrett Thomas, who are on 30 laps now on their stint. So they're definitely going to need that yellow flag, such as Nick Crawford here, pretty quickly to help them, because I don't think you're going to see them go much farther than about 45 laps with all the caution help they've had.
I agree with you. Caution is going to be needed for those drivers. Others that are making their way forward, I mean, this has been a spectacular run to see those that took the advantage of track position the way they're running right now. Looking at the likes of Samuel Garcia, who's kind of been, building on that Rookie of the Year performance that he had last season. This 50 machine, it looks like he might be targeting another top 10 run here with the way that he's been running here tonight. Also want to give kudos to Mason Cassidy, who's been looking quite strong recently. And for Justin Smith, who started all the way at the end, currently in the middle of this field, trying to make his way forward as Eric Rollick, Eric Stamp, the shiny stars have taken advantage of their pit stops and showing track position is king. Now they've got to figure out how to stay up front, or will they get the luck of a caution that can put them in a position to get in a great spot for this fight to stay up front. But here we go. This is going to be a very impactful restart for those that are in the questionable spot for fuel-wise for themselves. About half the group that's inside of our top 8, they need a good run as we get prepared for this restart. The 10 of Jared Talmadge needs to close in this gap, and this is danger. Watch out for this restart. The accordion effect of everyone trying to close in on the outside. They're hoping that they can make it a clean close up as we hit the restart zone. We're green. A few drivers got to be careful on this restart as we head down into turn number 1.
Definitely got to be careful. We've seen the chaos ensue all night long, but it's Kralik who takes that lead position, but quickly the 53 with the help of the 10 is able to jump to the outside, but a little bit of a loose condition there for that 53 of Stamp, but it's going to open up the door now. John Forbes looking to the middle, Stamp looking to the outside, 3 wide down the back straightaway, and it's not over yet.
It's not over by a long shot, but it's Thomas Green who's going to give a good push to the inside of John Forbes. Forbes is going to be clear as he'll take the diving move, but it's Thomas Green crawling. They got to be careful with the squeeze as the 01 almost didn't give enough room for the 18, but they hold steady. Still going to be 3 wide for second place, but it's John Forbes back to the point where he was when he won the stage earlier in this race, just 28 laps ago. And now these drivers, they settle in. They still stay 3 wide. And now it's the 11's turn. He saw his teammate Cody Reed blocking all 3 lanes. Well, the 11's got a chance to do it for himself as Kralik gets right on the back bumper, but he can see the fan out motion of drivers further on back. You're trying your best to continue to move forward if you get a massive run, but it's looking to be quite difficult as Danny Cochran in the 2 and the 10 of Talmadge get close. Here's Kralik fighting his way to try to get back to the point.
Man, oh man, there's been so much racing going on as now Crawford, he's going to dive to the inside, trying to get that grab of a Thomas Green and Kralik on that bottom side, but you can see down the front straightaway, that outside line so strong, and look at Danny Cochran. He's now worked his way back up here right into the mix and done a really good job of that, and he's actually the first driver of the drivers that pitted 9 laps ago on tires.
He's done a great job moving forward and positioning yourself in a spot where you want to be up front, because if everyone else is pitting behind you, you're going to be able to try to will your way to go forward and maybe even pull away as the drivers that are going to be in a questionable position. Again, Eric Stamp, Eric Kralik, Jared Talmadge, they're all in a spot where they're going to be forced to pit road in the next 5 to at least 8 laps. That might be the most that they can go, as the rest of the field, they still got plenty of fuel to race on, but they continue to squeeze and battle for this 8th place position. And up front, Danny Cochran continues to try to hold back the Snowy Desert Racing teammates of John Forbes and Nick Crawford as they're on the charge to take back the point.
Man, oh man, the race has been wild. Here's the 10 giving a shove to the 00. Here's Thomas going to dive to the inside, but it's Crawford up front. He's diving to that inside, and he's looking for the maneuver. Just can't make it stick, but he will slide up in the second now with John Forbes on his tail. He's going to have his teammate and possibly some help here with the draft heading into 1. Crawford going to have a big run.
Huge run for himself, pushed it into turn number 1, but not willing to dive down low. And it's John Forbes that had to back out of that corner with the amount of momentum that it gave to the 74. He thought that he was going to see Crawford dive low and go for that dive bomb move. Not going to be the case. Everyone gets back in line. It's Ethan Smith, who's going to be the first driver to the inside with Green right behind him, as they're going to be trying to figure out once again to move forward, but it's Eric Stamp. No! Into Green in the outside. Caution is out.
Well, I tell you what, Stamp needed the yellow, but he didn't want to be the yellow, and that is so unfortunate for him, because I think this right here is just kind of an accordion effect kind of deal where, you know, drivers in front of him are checking up. He checks up, Stamp does, and the 18 of Thomas Green can't get checked up in time. So tough break there for the drivers involved in that one, but man, that caution is going to help the likes of like Aaron Kralik, who stayed out that longest. But you can see from Stamp, who's had really a great race ever since the stage ending, has been up front in the mix. Right here, though, going to be completely out of the race with a blown motor.
I don't know if we snapped loose initially or we got a bump that got him loose, but overcorrects back into the outside wall, and here's going to be an outside perspective of the 53. That's your red and white machine. And you've got Thomas Green on the outside, and I mean, it is very close, but it looks like it's the contact that gets the 53 sideways, and then ultimately danger strikes for the 18 as Stamp goes creaming back with the overcorrection to the outside wall.
Such a tough break. I mean, everybody's racing so close to each other. The speeds are so high. Everything happens at such a fast rate that the 18 just can't get wound up in time. Just going to clip that back bumper. And the 53 Stamp tries to save it, but like you said, just a little bit of an overcorrect when the front wheels gripped up. And that right there ruined his chances of saving that race truck. So that's a tough break. And caution comes out with more people coming to pit road. But this won't change too much for strategy. Still need a pit stop for these drivers at some point in this race.
And looking at the field, wow, they're running at this moment. I mean, Zach, I'm curious because each time we've had a caution, a group of drivers come in. We already know most of that group is drivers that were involved with the wreck, but we've seen also always at least a handful of drivers coming in, topping off on fuel. Fuel has been the big question of, do you have enough to continue moving forward? Because the rate of cautions we've had, tire wear is not as worrisome of a position, but curious for some of these drivers, if there is a caution at some point later on in this race, is there a I'm not going to pit zone for some of these drivers for tires if we get those late, maybe the last 10, 15 laps to go in this race? If there's a zone that you're saying, all right, I don't need tires, I'm not going to pit anymore.
I think if you feel like you can make it on fuel, it's probably a good idea to stay out. We've seen so far that staying out on the tires, especially with the short green runs we've had, has worked well. So you just got to feel very confident from the fuel side of things. In my opinion, if you can get to lap 70 and have a pit stop at any point from there on after, you're good on fuel in my book. You could be up front running wide open and still make it at that point. So mixing a few yellows, that number could change a little bit. It could be 65. So we'll see when that magic number, so to say, happens, but it will definitely be an interesting case, I think, when we get later in this race, of people deciding whether or not track position or tires are going to be the thing that's worth it, because we've seen it before. Track position is king in this truck lately, and the tires tonight, they have seemed to help the drivers get their way back up there, but it takes time. It's not an immediate process. It seems like a few laps before those tires really start to show up.
As the field gets ready to go back to Green Flag Racing, the lights are off. We're going this time around. It's Danny Cocker, Nick Crawford going to be your front two, with Ethan Smith, Ollie Fonseca, Mason Cassidy, Mark Whitley, Malik Kuntz, Joshua Freed, Justin Forbes, and Justin Smith, your top 10. Drivers that have spent the most time into pit road, there's been a few. Larry Yingling has come into pit road 9 times. Mark Morales has pitted 9 times. Some for, like I said, decisions just to top off on fuel, some getting damage repair. But with the amount of pit stops we've seen, makes it a little bit harder on our side to keep track of who's got tires left. Now, this field was given 4 extra sets to work with in pit road throughout a 105-lap race. So you've got plenty of opportunities to use a set of tires. With the amount of cautions, you can make a set last maybe a little bit longer. And we'll see who's going to take those final sets later on here tonight. Updates on drivers that are out of this race. Eric Stamp has just left the session. Justin Sipes is out of this session. Dakota Moniz and Isaac Shelley still getting repairs done. Thomas Green, Trenton Jump, Christopher Norris, and Michael Miller. Green flag is back out. Here we go. It's the Larry Art Productions number 2 machine taking off, but everyone else, they're already 3 wide into turn number 1. Let the madness begin from 7th on back.
Oh, man, yes, it's very wild back there. This is like the likes of John Forbes, who's up top 4 wide in the 11 machine, trying to follow through down the back straightaway. And you see that front group's broken away, but it's really that middle group that is all chaos ensuing as everybody fans out down the back
Oh
stretch.
no, trouble for contact to the 01, as also to the 19. Eric Rollick's coming back up onto the track. Also, you can see there Justin Forbes, Cedric Hunter, they get a little bit scary, but somehow, even with all the wiggles, a loss of pace, we stay green, and that's a little bit of scatter might be what the field needs to maybe calm down. But a few drivers continue to race aggressively up front, but big loss for Tyler Dangler, for Eric Rollick, and Justin Forbes luckily able to keep it together. But we move back up front inside of the top 10. It's Ethan Smith, Mark Whitley getting involved with one another.
Wow, these drivers are all going for it, man. This is incredible stuff to see. Because Whitley was just involved in a wreck not too long ago. Now he's right back up in the mix. So it shows you how fast your fortunes can change here at Michigan, as it's 3 wide off the exit of 4. Crawford up top, Smith in the middle, Whitley on the bottom, but Whitley's going to try to slide up to that top groove in front of him. But here comes Malik Coates with a giant run down the back straight, or front straightaway.
Huge run on the outside, trying to make his way forward. Also stuck on the inside, it's going to be the 39 in the black of Joshua Freed. But leading this race, not under the same team banner, but having the same sponsor, it's the Larry R Productions machines of Ali Fonseca and Danny Cochran working as tandem. And friends outside of racing, but not on the same team. They're always confusing when you see the similar schemes out on track, but Zach, both Ollie Fonseca, Danny Cochran, veterans of the series, they want to stay up front, hold and defend, even though they're not on the same team. But Nick Crawford, Mark Whitley, I got a sense those two drivers in 3rd and 4th, they're willing to make the big move here if they need to tackle or go forward. But Danny Cochran goes to the outside of the 24.
Big move from Cochran. 24 opened up the door to halfway down the back front straightaway. Cochran got to the outside, tried to make it work, but Cody Reed's wrecking farther back.
Further on back, our Dover winner, Cody Reed, trying to stay off the inside wall and will do so. Just grazing it just slightly, but Cody Reed's big slide. Caution coming out after it looks like he got himself huge tap and almost a blowover for the 25.
Ooh, very close to a blowover. You see those wheels start to go off the ground, you start to get a little worried, but I think this is going to be a little bit of teammate on teammate violence here, as John Forbes had a mega run on the very, very top there. And I don't know if the truck just steps out sideways for Forbes, but the truck kind of just shoots left. And, and I don't know if he was looking to maybe make a move and just didn't know that Reed was there. It was really an awkward situation here as Reed kind of gets just body checked by his teammate coming off the exit here.
That teammate can be the blue 11 machine, John Force from Snowy Desert Racing. You can see him up high and then come screaming down. Right there was the moment of fear for a quick second. And Cody Reed just tapping the inside wall. Luckily he was going slow enough, the damage shouldn't be too bad. But our Dover winner from last week, he's got to reset, find a way to climb his way forward, as he'll be part of the group that needs to come into pit road, take a set of tires after that big slide, as we are now 60 laps in the books here at Michigan. And they've been out on track for over an hour of time. But man, Zach, it feels like it's been a long one, as they were only able to go maybe 3 to 5 laps before someone's getting involved with someone else.
It seems like rinse and repeat for sure right now for the racing that we're getting. Is Fonseca, our leader, he decided to come to pit road. So some interesting calls here right around 60. And, we saw people go 40, almost 42 laps on a set of tires and a tank of fuel earlier when we had all those yellow flags. This is, under 45 to go now. This is in the realm of that possibility of, hey, I take my set of tires here and pack it up with fuel. If we get enough yellow flags continuously, this grouping right here could look to be the first to make it, so to say, on one tank of fuel here. So we'll see if that's the strategy they employ, if the yellow flags continue, or do they still have to come back to pit road if we stay green.
And for you Stovall fans out there, Joshua Stovall has moved up to 18th position. You've also read in chat, Joshua Spotter of Quick giving us the information. Damage repairs are fully fixed. It's now just down to what the car has for himself. And, there's only so much you can do, especially on this type of a course, so aerodynamically a huge factor on making sure that you don't get any aero damage. But Zach, when you do, the draft and being in the middle of the pack is your friend, but like we saw earlier, it's also a major enemy that you're dealing with.
Oh, for sure. That draft is everything you need to make speed around here and make the fast times, to make passes on the drivers ahead of you. But it also causes, when you get into that corner, to just lose all your grip. So it's one of those catch-22s. You want the draft down the straightaway, and you don't want the draft through the corners. So it's one of those things, you try to get it down the straightaways, get away from it. But when everybody spreads out on this really wide racing surface, that's when you see the 4 or 5 wide action, because drivers are searching for that cleaner air, searching to get to the outside of the driver ahead of them, and it just produces some wild racing. So we've seen that draft be a huge factor tonight, and you're definitely going to have to utilize it if you want to go up there and get this victory.
Well, we talk about wild racing. We got plenty of wild racing still to come throughout this week here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as we've got the start of the championship round on Wednesday night for the WSSR Cup Series. 6 drivers have made it to the championship, and 2 races will solidify who is the champion of Season 9. All 6 drivers start at 0 points. So whoever's got the most points after racing at North Wilkesboro, as well as racing at Las Vegas, to be crowned the Season 9 champion. Also, if you want to see even more crazy racing action, well, Thursday night's got you covered. If you thought this racing here tonight with pack racing was wild, let's head to Daytona and the next gens with some open setups of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Don't want to miss any of the great racing action we have throughout the week. We're taking Tuesday night off, but as they will continue to race. The Challenger Racing League has themselves at Watkins Glen, but we'll be back giving them coverage next week on Tuesday, giving you the regular season finale at Bristol for the Challenger Racing League on Tuesday. And for Mondays, well, next week, probably a fan favorite for some, hated for others, we head to Gateway, then Canadian Tire and Auto Club, the next 3 races on the schedule. As the field gets ready to go green, pace car to pit road, it's Danny Cochran, Nick Crawford into the restart zone, and we're green once again for the Blackjack Dash for cash 150. Here we go. Danny Cochran gets a pretty good run for himself. He's already going to be clear as we head down into turn number 1.
Great start, like you said, from Cochran, but it's opening up the door here. Here's Mark Whitley. He's looking to the high side, but Crawford immediately diving to the inside of that 77 as the 2 now is going to slide up in front of Whitley. This is going to be some good drafting help for a 77 and a 2. That should let them allow to clear that 74, but a good side draft from Crawford here almost keeps him alongside. Is now Campbell coming into the picture in the 9. He dives to the outside of the 74.
That battle for 3rd place, starting to see some competitors that we've seen a battle against one another for championships. Last season's final 4 contenders of John Forbes, Nick Crawford, and as well Justin Campbell, all having their chances to move forward. But it's historics. It's about the past. Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, the short track dynamic duos between these 2. They're duels that would last throughout seasons. It's now Mark Whitley back to his favorite place to be, where he was dominating for most of last week in Dover. Up front, clean air. This is where Mark Whitley has not been all night long. And with the major swing that these drivers go with, this is going to be the first time for Mark Whitley to get that sense of what clean air is going to do with these trucks.
That's for sure. This is going to be his first opportunity and chance, but right now Cochran looking to make the move back around him, but he needs the help of the 74 and the 11 behind him. If they don't stack up and push, that inside line will go nowhere. As right now the 9 and the 98 doing a great job to help the 77 of Whitley up top, and the outside line just seems too strong here tonight. You got to be able to really work that outside groove.
Malik Coates, 98, we saw at one moment, caught up in earlier incidences, now battling inside of the top 5, and this is a run, I feel, for Malik we have not seen for seasons. Malik's rookie season, this was the type of speed we saw every single week. He was inside our top 10, top 5, challenging for wins, but just never could finally get over that hump to get to victory lane. Then went through a couple of dry spills of good races, and here we go. Malik Kuntz is back. We're also seeing the challenge for the lead, Justin Campbell. He's now putting the pressure on our most winningest driver, the ISRC Cup Truck Series. It is Mark Whitley, still holding back the 9.
You think about the 2 trucks that got caught out by that yellow flag at Dover. It's the 2 trucks up front who were running in those 1-2 positions, so they're back to familiar territory from where they were just last week. And right here, this 9 machine trying to find their way around, but Whitley done a good job so far of just having a great exit to not allow that 9 to do it. The 9 cuts the front straightaway now, but on the back bumper heading to the corner. But I think Whitley, knowing that, hey, go to the inside, I'll let you have it, but to the outside, I'm not giving you anything. Is now the 9 of Campbell in the middle 3 wide of the zone, a mess.
And they are trying to hold together as we're what would be in the cockpit. If you're racing VR, have the ability to look over to the side. Not in real racing would you really have the comfort to look over, but luckily in sim, we've got this ability. As you can see right on board with the 9 machine, those hands are working every single lap, but as well as the 9's working those hands, behind them is a pack of madness. 11th on back, they're looking like a Christmas tree as they're 3 wide, 2 wide, and now up front for the lead, it's Nick Crawford bouncing, and with a slide job move, he's now to the point.
Crawford to the lead, but it's Ethan Smith back here in the background trying to make his way forward as he made the pass on Justin Smith, but Smith in the 6 getting to the rear there as now the 4 was looking to his outside of Forbes, and it was getting wild there for a moment with a few drivers getting into the outside wall and into the contact that truck ahead. But while we're watching this, Whitley throws a slider up front. It's all going down.
Go for every move possible that you have in the back of your hands. Go for each little slider. Use the momentum. And Mark Whitley trying to defend both lanes, but not able to do so. We'll be 3 wide for the lead. John Forbes, Nick Crawford putting Mark Whitley in a snowy desert sandwich as they continue to race off the corner. Whitley and Crawford almost make contact. They do! Crawford with the wiggle with the spin. He holds it together with a major lockdown. Trying to keep the momentum. Mark Whitley now has a little bit of side damage, and he continues to fight for second place.
Oh man, great save from Crawford there. That could have been disaster for him, but he's going to save it. But he'll be on the inside now as he's got Cedric Hunter in the 13 making his way up here. But caution's out as they're wrecking.
They're wrecking further on, back in the middle of the group, and it's Malik Coots. No, the commentator's curse strikes the 98 as Malik, Mason Cassidy, and Eric Kralik get a wicked netcode incident.
Oh no, we've seen that so many times tonight that people just not making contact, but that netcode just showing up at the worst times here is the 17 Cassidy here on that bottom side. You already see some fireworks firing back there. Yeah, it was, actually, I think this was from the lap before our incident where it happened, but it definitely unfortunate scenes here as you're going to see the commentator curse, like you said, come into effect. Is the 17 going to come down here? It's just going to clip right there. The 98 is going to get loose. That turns up in the air, and Kralik and both of those drivers caught out by that.
And everyone then starts to try to avoid Kralik as best as they can. And major damage thrown all around for these drivers. Required damage for Aaron Kralik for himself as he went creaming through the grass. And you see another view as Kralik has called it a night. Was battling up front, got to lead some laps, but this is the end of how the 01's night will conclude. Looks like outside of the top 25 as Kralik then comes down, and Joshua Kanata, almost T-boning another driver this evening.
Well, yeah, our pole sitter there, very, very close for him for sure. That was closer than he wanted to see that action. And right here, just some interesting strategy calls too, Sam. Looks like Ethan Smith, Ali Fonseca, Mason Cassidy, Cody Reed will all stay out, while looks like a large majority of the field come to pit road. And I think some fuel-only changes versus some two-tire calls too.
As we've seen, some 2 tires calls actually work for some, but it looks like fuel only for the majority of those drivers. Staying out for Ethan Smith, Ali Fonseca, Mason Cassidy, and Cody Reed. And staying out, I mean, I'm a fan of it with the ways that we've seen some of these cautions come out. We're now in what you'd call desperation time for this field, and we're going to be in those final 35 laps. It'll be around 33 once we get back to green flag racing. And when there's no worry about the next pit stop, this is when this group gets the most chaotic. As here's your race report for tonight's race here at Michigan. Again, this is only race number 6, but if you're just joining us, we've had 10 cautions, counting the one that we're under right now, as we've also had 13 lead changes. We've ran most of this race under green, luckily, but I know for some of these drivers, they would like it to be a little bit more than just 10 cautions. As some drivers were predicting how many cautions we were going to have tonight. They had a higher or lower on 9.5 cautions. Well, for all those that said higher, they've hit that mark, but I know it's going to be frustrating for the field because this was a conversation of note between Dover and now of the amount of cautions that we've seen in this league and the worry of what was Michigan going to bring for us here this evening.
Well, you went back and crunched the numbers for us, Sam, and found out that in the past, it's been, you know, a high incident, high yellow count race. So continuing that trend, and I'm not like too surprised from it. Look at the racing that you're getting. I mean, you're 3-4 wide stacked up. Nobody's pulling away from each other. Yeah, when you can't get away from your competition, everybody just stews, and and at some point that stewing leads to a mistake either, or a little bit of anger, you know, where a driver will over aggressively make a move, and that can sometimes lead to the incidents we're seeing. So tough ordeal. I know it's tough. A lot of people don't want to see those yellows, but Michigan is one of those style of tracks where it's going to be pretty much as close as you get when it comes to racing your competition week in and week out.
Well, we've already cursed one driver. You can see on screen one of the drivers that's inside of our top 10. It's always scary, the power that sometimes we say that we wield of trying to cheer on drivers when we see them having success. But up front, Ethan Smith, Ollie Fonseca going to be your front runners, with Mason Cassidy third. Cody Reed, again, the 4 drivers that did not pit for themselves, but for your Stowell fans, he is on the move. Again, he typed in the chat from his spotter saying that they were just waiting for these moments to be up front, and now it is go time for this field. Right around some of the chaotic drivers, it's time to see who can survive the Blackjack Dash for Cash 150. We're back underway as they roar down into turn number 1.
Great start from that inside line there, man. There's again Ethan Smith able to do that, but it's John Forbes in the 11 making the big move. He looked to the inside of the 15 of Vincent Sora, who's now back up in the mix, but Forbes surging multiple lines forward as he made the huge move and is now up the 3rd.
John Forbes, last season, this season, I know that he's been working on getting faster each and every season possible. Been working with Logan Clampett a lot and getting a lot of knowledge from him, but it just seems like last season to this season, Forbes' willingness to make risky moves and it's sticking is becoming more of a regular thing that you just trust. But a massive surge from going all the way back from 8th up to 3rd. But Mark Whitley's now going to be on the inside as we're having some technical issues, but this field trying to find themselves go forward.
Yeah, they are trying to find themselves go forward. You can't see it, I don't think, folks, but it's 4 wide, the racing for the lead, and they're wrecking down the back stretch, and there's a truck flipping.
Ethan Smith and most of the field caught up in a wreck. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize, we do not have the ability to go back on that replay and see the carnage that went down. I know for you Stovall fans, you saw in the chat, 42 is okay, but one of the drivers that went for a wild ride was Ethan Smith, and a few others. Kind of a fake blowover was going on, but certainly a wild one. Again, thank you for being patient with us as we are back to watching tonight's race, as it has been a chaotic one. A lot of cautions. Now our 11th caution of the day coming out, as we are proud to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting of the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. My name is Sam Dyer. With me in the booth is Zach Hull, as well as running productions in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. And Zach, I mean, this race, chaos continues to reign. But again, another chance if you haven't pitted for a chance to take a set if you want to use your final one.
Yeah, this is it's been chaos, and the decision to take in tires is tough too because of the amount of yellows we've had. So it's kind of making everybody, I think, second guess some of the decisions they're making, and others like Vincent Sora and Larry Yingling, I don't think they took tires last time they came down. I think they just did a bit of fueling to their car or to their truck. So just showing that track position and getting positions those ways could be the easiest ways sometimes, is working out for a few of these drivers. But man, that last incident was wild, where they went 4 wide going off the exit of 2 and just run out of real estate quickly down the back straightaway there.
As tonight's race, that's been a special one on track. Just watching it with the style of racing that we're these drivers are forced into. But we also have this being some money racing for some of these drivers, as we have 2 different money races. You have the Blackjack Dash for drivers. We've got 5 that are racing in that. Whoever's the highest finisher of these 5 drivers get a little bit of cash for themselves, being John Forbes, Ethan Smith, Tyler Dangler, Mark Morales, and Presley Sora, as almost all 5 of those drivers have had issues at some point here tonight. And we also have the Morecast 5. These 5 drivers between themselves, whoever finishes the highest is, also gets a little cash, such as Connor Reinberg, Thomas Green, Justin Sipes, and Joshua Stovall. As we are back to green flag racing, less than 30 laps to go here tonight, and Mark Whitley back to where he wants to be, up front, clean air, and trying to hold back the rest of the field.
Whitley with an amazing start. The second row on the outside, Larry Yingling did not get going. He's now stuck in the middle, dropping back now quickly almost to the 7th position. That's a tough sight for him to be right in the middle, but Whitley did a great job. Now Vincent Sora jumps to the outside, Ali Fonseca. Everybody going for it here, showing that the aggression is never going to go away.
No, absolutely not. And really, we're starting to see 2 packs building up. We got our top 14, and then in 15th place is Steve McComas. That's kind of backed off, not able to really take off on that restart. And it might be also the group of drivers that have been through the most carnage are 15th on back. But up front, it's this first group, 2 by 2 from second on back. And it's the Lariat Production Machine drivers in the line of Ali Fonseca, Danny Cochran, and similar sponsors, not on the same team. And for Danny, this has got to be an awkward spot because his teammate is Vincent Sora, who's leading the outside group that he's trying to get by.
It is. He's in a very tough spot for sure with his teammate leading that outer groove there. But that 2 being aggressive right now is the 15 mistake from him. As I don't know if it's because the 74 was just close to the back bumper, but the 15 got loose there, and that lost him a ton of time and checked him up. That outside groove now kind of hurt as Whitley's starting to grow a little gap here. But the only thing that will do is make the draft bigger and the run from behind quicker.
But it also could hurt on the entry, and over the radio was contact made as Nick Crawford apologizes to Vincent Sora. Didn't mean to give him a tap, but Vincent Sora able to get the save. And here's that massive run you were talking about, building up to Mark Whitley. Ali Fonseca, will he take a chance at that down low? Will not, as we hop on board with the 50 machine of Samuel Garcia running in 5th place for himself. More drivers have called it a night. 4 further on back as these laps continue to tick away. Malik Kuntz officially now out of the session. Still getting service done is Christopher Norris and Michael Miller. But everyone else in our top 25 continues to stay out on track. But Zach, this grouping, I mean, it is just a survival mode. We still have 25 laps to go, and it's wide open for really whoever's got the win here. Mark Whitley is not a solidified for sure win just yet.
No, sir. This race is going to go up to the very end of the... Until we get that checker flag, we won't know who's won this race, just with how much chaos and how big the runs you can get. As the 42 of Stovall back here running in 13th. I like what he's doing. He's just hanging on. Right now, the 49 of Bird.
Bird, oh no, for the 49. Another drive on the front stretch and continues to be driven through. Trenton jump. Was that jump that was just pushing him? He was getting shoved all the way down the front stretch, and it was Trenton jump. With frustration, the 46 just throttles it up and never wants to let Bird go.
It's a tough break for sure as Bird there in the contact between him and Samuel Garcia there, but almost another half flip, so to say, there for Bird. Like you said, just getting pushed on the straightaway from the 46, and just shows you again quickly this racing tonight. It has been one of those boats where at any point you can be reckoned.
And Ryan Bird, who was a part of that MoCast 5. I mean, the listed drivers are a part of a chance to win a little bit of extra cash here at the end of the night, getting involved in wrecks, and it's just, once again, these close racing moments where it just seems like Netcode is so close to every wreck that we see.
It really is. It's been wild to watch so far as drivers have definitely, I think, seen all night that getting close is dangerous. And I don't think, unfortunately, there's going to be a way to get around getting close here at this racetrack. So it's just going to be one of those nights where you got to survive and hope that the card's all laid the right way for you.
As the field gets ready, repairs getting done for Ryan Bird, also for Trenton Jump, and those two drivers racing into their pit stalls, get service done. 4 tires and fuel for the majority of the field. We got a total of 6 drivers, though, that stay out. Mark Whitley, Nick Crawford, Justin Forbes, Mark Morales Jr., Joshua Freed, and Tyler Dangler. Going to be the 6 drivers that stay out. Topping off on fuel, who was involved with that wreck, Samuel Garcia. With the fact that he just topped off in only for 5 seconds, I think Garcia didn't really get any damage from that incident.
He really didn't. It looked like just very minor contact for him. So Garcia gonna come out. It looks like in the 7th position is, I believe, Fonseca will be the first off of pit road with tires, with Danny Cochran there. Also, Ryan Bird will actually come out somewhat decently through all of this. So somehow, after almost flying away, Ryan Bird in a good position.
Yes. Field gets ready for this restart. For all you Stovall fans out there, currently the 42 runs in 13th position, using that final set of tires that they have, and it's got some work to get up front. As again, Joshua Stovall is part of the MoCast 5, so the 42 is part of the cash. As Justin Sipes officially out of this race, Thomas Green involved in heavy damage at 6 laps down. Ryan Bird, who was just caught up in that wreck, I'm not sure how much damage the 49 really grabbed. It's really Stovall against Cedric Hunter, which Hunter currently runs in 18th place. So Stovall's got a chance for this MoCast 5.
It is definitely wide open for that, for sure. I mean, those drivers are all both right in the mix of the middle of this field. So at any point, it could be which truck is the least damaged and limping to the end to get the MoCast 5. So that's going to be fun to watch for all that grouping.
And then the other money grouping of drivers is the Blackjack Dash. You got John Forbes, who's only back in 21st position, was just in pit road for extended time for himself. Ethan Smith, who currently is one of the higher runners in 12th place for this. Tyler Dangler, Mark Morales, they are the highest runners as they find themselves being up in 4th place for Mark Morales and 6th place for Tyler Dangler. They stayed out. They went for track position. We'll see if they get rewarded for it, as we're going to be having 21 laps to go when we go green here. Up front, it's Mark Whitley, Nick Crawford, your front 2 with Justin Forbes, Mark Morales, as well as Joshua Freed, Tyler Dangler, all staying out on this most recent caution. All coming in the pit road just for fuel is Samuel Garcia in 7th. Ollie Fonseca, though, Danny Cochran, Ryan Bird, that's 8th, 9th, and 10th. All just got service done for 4 tires and fuel. We'll see how well that they can stay up front. First driver to take 2 tires is Ethan Smith. He was the king of taking 2 tires back in the day. We'll see if the king can take back that crown as we are getting back to green flag racing for your Blackjack Dash for the cash. 1:50, we're back underway, and Mark Whitley pulls away.
Great start from Whitley down low, of course, as he's going to be snaking his way down the front straightaway to try to break that trap as they head off in the 1. No Crawford single file, but it's Martin Morales, Justin Forbes, Tyler Dingler getting swarmed by the new tires of Fonseca as he comes through the middle. The 24 Fonseca is here to play.
You're not waiting anymore. It is take off and go. Get that track position, get up front, and then try to defend from there. And it looks like that's exactly what the 24 wants to do, as he's already up to third place. He's going to be trying to march his way to that outside lane, not able to do so as cleanly as he would hope. Other driver trying to follow suit is the 2 of Danny Cochran, but he's kind of being swamped, installed, and you can see them being stacked 3 wide, 4 wide, almost 5 wide now, as Vincent Soar stuck in the middle. They're going to try to squeeze through. Who's willing to give space? They'll continue to stay 4 wide, almost 2 rows deep, and up to the outside grooves for 2 tires of the 00 of Ethan Smith. Doesn't have the grip. Everyone else pushes forward. A little bit of a slide from the 70 machine, and that will give a chance as McComish falls backwards. But Zach, somehow they make it through, and it's the 2 threats. It's in blue. Vincent Soar, John Forbes, they're working together to try to push through this pack.
Oh, Samuel Garcia farther back gets loose, but he saves it in the 50 machine. But this group and all right in the mix of the Hornet's Nest is Forbes now under threat. It's Justin Forbes in the 4 machine. Has the 2 of Cochran looking to the inside here, heading into 1 and 2. And you also got Freed right there in the mix along with Tyler Dingler. This grouping going to get wild.
Ollie Fonseca almost able to fully clear for the 24, not able to do so. They're going to still be 2 by 2 for most of the front grouping, as Mark Morales, Joshua Freed going to be side by side for 4th place. Battling for 2nd is the 74 of Nick Crawford and Ollie Fonseca. These 2 drivers have had their own duels for between who's going to be having the better run. As trouble further on back, it's Ryan Bird in the 49, spun around.
Bird going around once again, and this one I actually can see is going to be all by himself. So this is going to be cold tires sneaking up on the 49 and just kind of catch him off guard after getting that new fresh set of tires. As he's racing hard here with the likes of the 13 center corner, maybe a little contact between these 2 off the X or through the middle of the corner. Is Bird here fighting on this outside groove. Going to head down here to 3 and 4, and this is where the rear end of this truck is going to step out right here on entry. He's going to drive it into the corner. You can see just yawling completely out there, and it's going to step out, and he's going to slide as everybody's jump. Almost had to push him down the straightaway once again.
Yeah, almost giving a round 2 of that incident. I'm curious if we can get another look of an onboard in the cockpit of Ryan Bird. How did those hands try to react as he found himself spinning around? As again, going to be trying to keep it straight. He's already feeling it loosen up through 1 and 2, and then was beating and banging side by side with Cedric Hunter. But I mean, Zach, at this point, Ryan Bird thinks that he's clear. Okay, you had one worrisome spot. The tires should get a little bit more heat, and then there's just no grip, and he loses it already immediately into the entry.
You can see, yeah, it was like immediate. Like as he turns into the corner, the front end was going left, but his wheel wasn't turning more left. So it is just a cause of a loss of grip there, and he's going to get that truck back wound up and try to get it back out in the mix. But actually, I think he's now going to be going 2 laps down and actually calling it a night.
Ryan Bird going to be another driver calling it an evening. Joining the ranks of Malik Coombs, Aaron Kralik, Eric Stamp, Justin Stipes, Dakota Moniz, and Isaac Shelley. Surprise, surprise. We talked about who's going to have the mental fortitude to stay out there and try to get maybe some of these positions back. Michael Miller, first driver to blow up and find his night ending soon, is back out on track, Zach, and he takes that spot away from Christopher Norris. And if we continue to stay green, and we might need to go into overtime, but Miller could take 2 more spots if we go into overtime.
He technically could, yeah. I mean, you got the likes of Sipes and Moniz, 56 laps down each. So that is, it's within the realms of possibility. Like you say, he's going to need some overtime action. But I tell you what, with how much Barney's been up there waving in the yellow flag in the flag stand, we very well could be seeing some overtime here at some point. So I wouldn't put it past these drivers. But while this all happened, I believe, yeah, Mark Whitley, he came down the pit road. So he put himself back in 19th, pitting from, I believe, yeah, from the lead.
Yeah, and he had to. There was so much pressure from Ollie Fonseca with fresher tires. It kind of put a 77 in a tough spot. And for Mark Whitley, the bad thing about it is that this puts him in the same scenario he was in last week at Dover. Up front, he looks like the dominant truck. But when you put him in traffic late in a race, you're not going to be given the same grace that you were in those first, let's say, 20 laps when he started all the way in the back because of his penalty. that he was given to start this race off. Now everyone's going to be fighting for every position. They're going to be fighting and clawing for everything. And Mark Whitley, he's in some trouble as he'll be restarting back in 18th position as a little bit of blinking issues happen. Jared Talmadge, because of the blinking, he is sent to the end of the line for the 10 machine.
To the end of that line, and yeah, that's going to be tough for him to try to make that up. But yeah, when you're blinking like that at a track where everybody's racing this close, you know, you don't want to have that up in the mix with everybody. So good call there, I think, for them to get him to the back of the field. But we'll see how this works out. Fonseca, you know, a one-time winner here at ISRC. I'm sure he wants that second victory in Michigan. Would be quite the place to do it. You got to be an aggressive driver to get up on that wheel and really try everything in your power, and Fonseca is definitely one of those.
Ollie Fonseca grabbing that win at Dover all the way back in season 3. Would love to get himself into victory lane once again. These drivers get set up and prepared for this restart. What a run we've had so far. 90 laps in the books. Well, we got 15 still to go. As pace cars into pit road, it's Ollie Fonseca, Nick Crawford going to be up front. As Ollie Fonseca's got the freshest rubber, the drivers he's got to be worried about is Danny Cochran in 5th on back. All those drivers fresh rubber as well. But Martin Morales will try his darndest to hold back the rest of the field as he wants to be the driver that wins the Blackjack Dash for himself. As Nick Crawford holds steady on the outside, but old tires are just going to make a wall. Can they hold back the 2? Because Danny Cochran's on the charge.
The 2's going to push the 74 here, and this is going to give them a big head of steam. But you also got the 15 pushing the 25, who's going to come to the back bumper of the 8. We'll see what happens when they get there. As right now, everybody's stacking up. The runs are there, 3 wide, 3 rows deep.
As that battle going on for 5th, 6th, 7th place is looking like a madhouse. It's Martin Morales still defending the inside row over Cody Reed, which, I mean, at one moment, we saw Cody Reed's race almost come to an end after his teammate John Forbes got into him. Instead, you're seeing most of Snowy Desert Racing that's still out there on track, fighting for the inside, fighting for the outside, and stuck in the middle is Martin Morales and a few others. Vincent Sora also stuck in the middle, and this 3-wide action is just building a wall and enabling our top 2 to just fight on their own as Nick Crawford goes for a diving move to the inside, trying to clear off the nose of the 24, not able to fully do so as they scatter back and forth for 5th on back. It is still Ollie Fonseca and Nick Crawford side by side for the lead.
Oh man, this grouping here is getting wild. As now you got the 39 free pushing the 15 to Sora, 4 wide entering the corners. Cedric Hunter is going to try to take advantage of it. Almost 5 wide for a moment. As it's Mark Whitley already up to 8, using those fresh tires. He has maybe made the right call here.
Thick the fresh tires, and he put down the fastest lap of the race that last lap, and now he's up to the wall. Where do you go? Is there a moment that you can just scatter and scamper your way through the middle as Morales will stay high? We're going to be 4 wide off the exit of the corner, and for the 77, he's trusting that he's found the gap that's going to make him go forward. Able to do so as Morales falls backwards, just a full cliff dive for the 8. Had to back out of the corner. He's going to hit the outside wall, and Mark Whitley having clean air, having space. This is what the 77 needs.
That is definitely what he needs. But Crawford up front making another big move. Tried to clean the 24. Couldn't get it done again. But here comes the 11 of Forbes. He's going to have the push now down the back straightaway on the 24. Fonseca, 74. Crawford all by himself as now it's Cochran and also Vincent Sora there. The teammates lined up there. But the Snowy Desert Racing and the likes of Cochran Sora Racing here grouping up. But Whitley on the freshest tires coming his way through as he's going to make the pass on Vincent Sora to move his way up the 5th.
Moves his way forward and gives a huge push to Danny Cochran. Luckily, the 2 was able to hold on with that tap off the exit of the corner, as now there's just 4 drivers holding back Mark Whitley from the lead, from the position he wants to be to get himself into victory lane once again this season. Mark Whitley just looks to be the driver to watch out for. Everyone else trying their best to hold steady. The other driver that took fresh set of tires, the 19 of Tyler Dangler. He runs 9th right now, Zach. He's patiently taking these spots away. Is the 19's patience going to be rewarded, or is it Mark Whitley's aggressiveness that's going to get him up front?
That we will have to see. Right now, Dingler doing a great job of patiently making his way forward. He's working the groove on the bottom inside there with Cody Reed and Cedric Hunter lined up. But there it is, Whitley making the move up ahead. He's going to look to the inside of Cochran. He's also going to get to the inside of John Forbes. We'll see if this works out for the 77, but he's sliding big time to the center.
trying to slide it into a hole that's just not there. He'll have to wait on the inside. Is the 77 to Mark Whitley, and he forces the issue. Gets Danny Cochran to have to back out or they're going to wreck. And Danny Cochran, not a fan of that move that was just made, but not able to stay attached because there's just too much grip for the 77. He's able to get into the throttle, carry more speed, and just like that, to the inside for the lead position is Mark Whitley. Here we go into turn number 1 with 9 laps to go. Whitley is looking primed for this lead position as he dives down into turn number 1. Not as aggressive, waits for his chance, staying patient, but is your patience going to be rewarded for the 77? Because looking back to 7th, Dangler is catching them.
That he is. Dingler's made his way up to 7th. This could be a career best for Tyler Dingler if he keeps his track on moving forward. But the 77 of Whitley trying everything in his power to make the pass, but that outer groove with the draft is just too much, as he's going to have the great run off of 4 here. It's just the problem is when we get on the straightaway now, these 3 lined up on the outside groove, the drafting power is just too much for that inside.
It might be on all rival teams, but you're willing to make every big move possible as diving down low, trying to crack into the top 5 and to get behind the 77. Tyler Dangler is moving up, now going to be on the tail end of Vincent Sora. And it's all mounting up to this. Mark Whitley trying to split up the trio. That's been Ollie Fonseca, John Forbes, and Danny Cochran. Able to get pushed the 2 back once again. Now Mark Whitley to the outside quarter panel. He might have figured out how to cut off this group from utilizing the draft, because now Ollie moves high. He doesn't go down, and they're wrecking behind. It's Martin Morales, and also going to be Samuel Garcia. Caution is out with less than 10 to go, and this recycles the field.
That does recycle the field, and man, oh man, they were under threat, because that 77, the move he made in 3 and 4 to get to the outside of John Forbes, I didn't even know was possible. So that was wild to see how he could get to that quarter panel. But let's see how this yellow was brought out, so to say, as you see Samuel Garcia back here racing with the likes of Joshua Stovall. So they're back here a little bit farther in this group behind that lead grouping. We'll get to see what the contact actually is here as they head off into 3, because tough break for these two. We're having a great run.
It's going to be off the exit. It's just a dive bomb move. Accelerates. Morales wasn't in contact. Ethan Smith gets involved, and there we go as the 8 goes screaming to the outside, doing a spin with oncoming traffic. That will give our late caution. And if you're the drivers up front that were moving forward quickly, like Mark Whitley, also the likes of the 19 of Tyler Dangler, you stay out. Everyone else behind him, though, pit road is calling, and this is the nightmare for Mark Whitley and Tyler Dangler and co. They did not need that caution to come out.
They didn't need that caution, but I will say I think the tires are just going to be too far back. You know, with a lot of people here staying out, it looks like really everybody from the 14th position here is going to stay out, maybe in 15th. Yeah, 15 trucks are going to stay out here. So Crawford are going to restart around the 16th position. Yes, we saw Whitley storm his way up through, but I don't know if you'll have enough time for this restart to get your way, you know, climbing back through. But we'll have to see, of course, because, man, that was wild stuff. Also, with the timing of that yellow, Whitley was just about to pass Forbes, and actually did pass him after the yellow came out. But with the timing lines, it kept just Forbes back in second. So what will we see Fonseca do? Will he elect to take that outside groove on the restart here to pin the 11 in front of the 77, or do you take the inside? That's going to be the big question I think he needs to ask himself. Which truck do you want pushing you, and which truck do you want most likely to end up behind you coming to the white flag?
I mean, I think I'm sticking with the Larry Art Productions machine. You're got to stick with Danny. You put the 11 in front of the 77. You try to hold them back as much as you can. And that's your winning away here, as we're going to be around 4 to 3 laps to go when we go green again. This is that crunch time moment where you got to figure out how to put every driver in between you and those that have fresher tires. And, you know, we were talking about the fact that 77, the 19, they were the ones that were flying through the field. Other drivers that were on similar sets of tires, it looked like more so protecting them. Also looks like they might have a little bit of damage. Justin Campbell in 9th position. He's also in the same set of tires and situation as the 77 and 19. Other drivers part of that same strategy. Larry Yingling and Samuel Garcia. And We saw both of them. They've been dealing with damage throughout the night. First drivers with fresh rubber further on back. Nick Crawford, Cody Reed, Joshua Freed, and also Justin Forbes going to be those drivers to watch out for. And we know we can trust the likes of Nick Crawford. Cody Reed's been more trusting on big moves late when they are in just full go bore mode. I gotta question what we're going to see from the likes of Justin Forbes and others that are going to have that extra speed, that extra closing rate, and willing to carry more momentum. And I mean, Zach, looking at Mark Whitley and the way that he moved through that field, the first 3 laps, he was accelerating through the field so rapidly. He would carry over 10 positions in just the first 2 laps of that last restart. And then he hit that wall around 8th or 9th position that every lap was 1 position. I think that's where we're going to see that stall out for Nick Crawford and co. Is once they get to 7th and 8th place, how much easier will it be to make those passes?
That's going to be the key. Yeah, when you get to those tougher spots up front, it's going to get that much harder to get passes. Because when you go to the inside, sometimes you get trained by that outside groove just lining up. So it's going to be tough, even if you have new tires.
As the field's about to get rolling here, I want to say thank you once again to everyone that's been watching with us throughout the night. For Joshua Stovall fans, he's back in 13th position on the oldest set of tires of everyone out on course. So he's going to try his best as everyone else gets ready. 5, making now 4 laps to go here tonight. Ollie Fonseca, Danny Cochran, John Forbes are going to try to hold back those with fresh rubber. Mark Whitley's going to be the first of that army that's going to try to push their way forward. Other drivers further on back. Nick Crawford, he's trying to march on the outside lane further on back. They seem to be too far. It's up to our top 5 on who's going to win this race.
That they are, and it was the outside groove that Fonseca took. It allowed Cochran to get to the second, but here comes the big push from the 77 to the 11, but now the 11 looks to the inside. The 77 and the 2 make contact, but here comes John Forbes. He wants the lead when they come to 3 to go.
He wants the lead bad, but will they be giving too much space for the 77 with your own squabbles between one another? Mark Whitley right on the back bumper of the 11 machine is going to be trying to push him far enough ahead to maybe have a chance to dive it down low to the white line as they continue to bicker back and forth between the Larry Art Productions machines. Mark Whitley holds down. They squeeze. They tap. Mark Whitley's got to back up for a quick second. It gives space for Ollie Fonseca to move forward, but that little bit of slowdown might have been enough with these laps clicking away. 3 to go. Ollie Fonseca to the inside.
Fonseca here looking to the inside. Where Whitley's been strong is off of 4. So we'll see if he can set it up once again, because they're going to be side by side.
Crawford's
when
here.
They come to the flag stand. He is.
Crawford is flying right now. 2 laps to go from 18th all the way up to 7th in 2 laps. This is where the wall hits, though. Does he have enough spacing to work? The fastest lap of the day goes to Nick Crawford.
It's going to be side by side here when they exit off the 2. The 77's got a decision to make. He bumps the 24, moves him up out the way as the 24 gets loose. This is now opening up the door here with Forbes, and the 2 is getting the push from the 2 of Cochran down into 3 and 4. Does Nick Crawford have the speed?
He goes down to the yellow line. He's the only driver that has grip to go down there. Creaming up. They're 4 wide for the lead. Nick Crawford takes the lead off the exit turn 4. We take the white flag with the freshest of tires. Crawford is running away.
Crawford doing everything in his power here to win this, but it's going to be the 77 of Whitley. He closes the door on him here down into 1, and that's going to get the 77 tight. Now the 77 tries to slide in front of the 11. The 11 cuts back across. Whitley wrecking it. They're wrecking from second to back.
They're wrecking all around. They're still piling in. It's a never-stopping wreck from second on back. It's all Nick Crawford. Vincent Sora trying his best to close in the gap, but he's too far. Crawford sees the madness in his mirrors. He made all the passes that mattered. He took the strategy, and Crawford into victory lane.
What a call. I did not think the tires would get it done, but he shows that waiting that long was the perfect call. He just held it wide open on the bottom, went around everybody, and man, I tell you what, Sam, don't ever second guess this guy when it comes to pitch strategy.
And Joshua Stovall finally gets a top 10 finish. He takes 8th. And oh man, the heartbreak. Tyler Dangler falls to 16th. Mark Whitley back to 18th. And just all the big moves thrown away. But it's the 74 who made the incredible moves. I mean, Zach, 18th to 7th in 2 laps, then takes the lead the next He was flying there in those final 3 laps.
Oh man, that was so impressive to see from him. I literally didn't even expect him to use his name coming through. So that
Justin
was wild
Forbes
stuff.
got
Yeah,
fifth.
yeah, that's what I was just about to say too. It's wild to say, but Forbes, a top 5.
Justin Forbes, one of the most unexperienced drivers, just had a race of his life that he's had here on iRacing. He'll take 5th. What a charge for these drivers. We need to step back for a second, but here we go. We're going to take a look here at the end of this race and just the pandemonium that happened off the exit of everyone just piling in. And no one said let go of the throttle. It was full send all the way through. And for some drivers, this was the perfect end. Others, they cannot wait to get out of here. And it doesn't get any easier because we've got Gateway next week. But before we think about next week, we got to step back for a quick second. When we come back, we got the post-race show. We're going to talk to our top 3 and most likely Justin Forbes get their thoughts on tonight's race. We questioned the call, that it all came together. Nick Crawford, once again, the gutsy strategies give him a chance to go fight for a win, and he gets it done. Your winner here tonight of the Blackjack Dash for Cash in 150 is the 74 of Crawford as we head to victory lane. Nick, I mean, you got your win back at Road America, and like you did last season, once you get that win, you kind of have the chance to try gutsy calls. You win for one here tonight. How are you feeling after those final 4 laps and just being a rocket ship to get up front?
That was kind of nice because usually it's a lot harder to pass all those guys with their skill level. But first and foremost, I have to thank John Forbes, my teammate, because when that last caution came out, he's just like, he told me and Cody to pit for tires. And I was like, I don't know if that's going to work. But he's like, he said it, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. I didn't think the difference was going to be that big, especially with how you could hold off people with much older tires like we did earlier in the race. So I was really surprised, and I got really lucky that they got together on the back, so there would be like no run into 3. So honestly, I don't know why I'm here, but it's really nice.
It's definitely got to be nice. Congrats, Nick. I had written you off when you pit there, so that was an amazing run back up to the lead there for yourself. But take us through the night, because the strategy, was off the wall for a lot of people. I mean, you were the lowest of anybody to pit stop tonight with only 3 pit stops. I mean, we had some guys hitting pit road 14 times the amount of yellows we had. How hard was it to keep up with the strategy?
Once you started seeing a bunch of cautions, I was hoping that it would clear up after the stage, but with the trucks being so even, there wasn't really a lot to tire wear. You kind of just, I thought staying out was the best plan, and kind of just looking for the fuel strategy more than anything. Just knowing that you can make it, least amount of stops, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, once the stage came out, I saw how chaotic it was in the back, and I just figured staying out would be fine, because at that point we couldn't make it on 1 stop. It had to be 2, and I had enough fuel to make it the 2 stop. So I figured just stay out. If I lose a few positions, that's fine. And then the cautions just kept coming out. So it was really more about hitting the lottery. And luckily, with how stacked it got at the end there, the tires were working, because I thought I was going to have to go up on the outside, and then I just saw everybody leaving the bottom lane open, so I just went down there. But it worked out.
It certainly did work out, Nick. I mean, the lottery seems to be still carrying over from your regular season performance last season, and the way that you were getting into victory lane with strategy calls. We have some crazy races still in front of us. It doesn't get any kind of calmer, it feels like. We got Worldwide Technology Raceway, otherwise known as Gateway, Canadian Tire, and then we're back to the sister track of this, Auto Club. I mean, what's your thoughts for these next 3 races that we have lined up on the schedule?
I think I'm getting a similar thought process here. Since I have the win and pretty good in points right now, it's really about helping teammates when I can, giving them advice and strategy calls. For some reason, strategy calls that I would make don't work for my teammates. And that's probably just because, I don't know, maybe I live in Las Vegas and the gambling city. Maybe that's what it is. But it's just taking the tracks when we get to them. I'm not really going to over prepare for them, because sometimes I can practice too much. So it's really just going with the flow, kind of like last season.
I mean, it certainly does line up, especially with the name of the Blackjack Dash for Cash 150. It makes sense that someone from Las Vegas would find themselves into victory lane. Nick, like always, the floor is now yours for any other extra shout outs.
Yeah, and I didn't even put in for that part of the deal with this race, so I guess I missed out. But as always, I need to shout out my beautiful wife and her family. As of yesterday, it's Mexican Heritage Mexican Heritage Month. So shout out to that. It's an amazing culture. I love being a part of it and learning more of it. Shout out to my teammates. They helped me so much, especially even tonight. Sorry to Norris, probably had one of the worst wrecks I've seen at Michigan. So hopefully he can rebound next week. Shout out to the admins that put on this league. And then they're also willing to listen to input and advice from the drivers. And of course, you guys for putting on a great show. I'm going to go back and watch this tomorrow, probably.
It certainly was a wild one and a long one, Nick, but ultimately you come away with the win. Congratulations on that, and good luck next week at Gateway.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place, where we get to see if we can talk to Vincent Sora, because I know he had a wild night as well. You got the 15 with us. Vinny, you found yourself coming away second, but man, you probably had just as crazy of a night as some of the other drivers. You were battling up front, but take us back to those final lap and the chaos you saw in front of you.
Yeah, I had such an up and down race. I had good speed, but like normal, it doesn't matter over here, sadly. And then after the stage, the Double Zero and I got together. I got spun around, and my truck was pretty much killed. I had like 5 minutes of damage, but I fixed it, and the right rear toe was still knocked out. So all in both corners for the rest of the race, even though I had speed, I was just wrecking. I was fighting the truck like it was about to step out from under me, and it was. And then on that last lap going through 1 and 2, I lifted coming out of 2 because I knew the inevitable that was about to happen, and it turned out to be the right choice. And they all bottlenecked and wrecked, and I don't really know what happened, but I'm hearing some mutters of something that wouldn't surprise me too much. So yeah, I just shot straight to the apron and made it through, and somehow got this truck up into P2.
Definitely a good job getting the P2, missing that big wreck there, Vinny, with the, like you said, an up and down night for yourself. I mean, how tough is it though to, go from running around, up front battling for the stage, then running around the back, then to be like, back in the mix? How hard is that to kind of keep the mindset in the right place?
It's super difficult, especially me. I mean, me, for 60, 70 laps, I was just like, man, my race is over. I'm going to have a terrible night. It's all gone out the window. But they just couldn't help themselves from wrecking. So you can be pretty much terminally damaged over here and still have a chance to finish where I did or even better, because the wrecks are insane. It's a problem, and it sucks to see, but on a night like tonight, it helped me out. So yeah, I'm super happy that I stayed in it and ended up where I did.
I mean, Vinny, looking at the schedule, it doesn't really get any easier on the aggression level that this league's gonna have to go through. We got Gateway next week, then we head to another road course at Canadian Tire that we've seen some chaos there, and then we're back to the sister track of Michigan at Auto Club. These next 3 races really don't help out with the calming down phase. What are your thoughts, though, trying to prepare for these next 3 races?
I don't know. Maybe I'll schedule some therapy classes for the next few weeks, maybe the rest of the season. I don't know, find somebody to talk to about the trauma that is caused from getting in all the wrecks and having to avoid them. But no, I don't know. Gateway, they're probably going to wreck the whole time, just like they did last season. Canadian Tire, I've never driven, but I really like the track. Thankfully, we can go caution free there. And then Auto Club, we wrecked a bunch the last time. And like you said, it's a sister track to here. So I don't know. Hopefully they can start figuring stuff out over here, and we can get some clean races, and I can get some wins.
Well, we're hoping for it, Vinny. Congratulations on sneaking your way through and coming away second there late. Enjoy this finish, and good luck next week at Gateway.
Thank you, boys.
As we move from second place, we go down to third, where we bring in the driver that, looking at the numbers, it looks like Cedric Hunter will be your MoCast 5 winner. Get a little bit of extra cash at the end of tonight. Cedric coming away third, but I would imagine third wasn't what you were imagining coming off the exit of turn 2.
No, I mean, we were sitting in like 10th, coming off 2. Obviously, I had made a 3 wide, and I was kind of just hoping that I was going to, I don't know, drag race them or something and, finish hopefully in the top 10. And then all hell broke loose off of 2. We somehow managed to kind of make our way through and finish third. Obviously, way better than what I was expecting. In hindsight, I wish I would have went with Nick's strategy. I didn't feel like the tires really fell off that much. Like, we were pushing so hard, 10, 15 laps into a run, that we were actually running our fastest times. I guess, with the fresh tires just made it such a bigger difference than I would have thought. So congrats to him. I completely forgot about the Morecast 5s. So awesome. If I'm not mistaken, I got $10 for finishing first out of the 5 guys. So that's great. Big fan about winning money. Yeah, considering the season that I've had, I think obviously a third place finish is way better than I could have hoped for tonight.
That's kind of where I was going to go, Cedric. First off, congrats, man, on third here tonight. But, the season you've been having has been such a roller coaster for you. Getting a third place finish here tonight in Michigan, do you feel like this can kind of help get maybe the season on a track?
Yeah, like my season so far has pretty much just been, top 5, top 6, or DNF. And, and that's just unfortunately the way the cookies crumbled so far. But hopefully, we can have some good momentum going forward. I don't actually know what tracks are coming up, but I know we're going to a road course. Actually, I think we're going to my home track of Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and I feel pretty good about getting at least a top 10 there. So, I think top 10s and top 5s are definitely upon the horizon going forward, and hopefully we could stay in the top 12. Until the end of the regular season, we could put ourselves actually into the playoffs. I'm kind of nervous, I'm not going to lie, with it being top 12 instead of top 16. But, if we can keep getting lucky like we did tonight, it shouldn't be too difficult there to fight for a playoff spot.
I mean, we're excited to see how you're going to perform there, Cedric. We're excited for it. But before we call it an evening for yourself, the floor is now yours for any more shout outs.
I appreciate it, man. I want to give you guys a huge shout out. Shout out to Nick for his win tonight. Obviously, he was one of the fastest guys, regardless of the strategy. So he did a great job being up there all night and leading a bunch of laps. Congrats to Vinny as well for second place. Great job to the rest of my teammates, Danny and Larry. I guess kind of Larry, would have finished with the wreck or without. I know he's involved in the last wreck, but even not being involved in the wreck, he would have probably still finished 10th if there wasn't anything that happened. And that's where he finished. So great job to him for getting the top 10. I'm not sure where Danny finished, but he was super fast all night. Again, led a bunch of laps like Nick. So it was a good showing overall for the team. We did gain a little bit of points too. So hopefully we can keep getting runs like we had tonight and keep creeping our way forward to Sony Desert Racing.
Well, Cedric, again, congratulations on a great performance and sneaking your way through that chaos off the exit turn 2. Enjoy this top 3 and good luck next week at Gateway.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
As we move from third place to go to our spotlight driver, and we said it while we were looking at the results. What a shock with his best finish of the season. It's the 4 of Justin Forbes. Justin, congratulations on a top 5 finish. I know this season's been kind of a learning experience for you, getting into league racing. We've seen you on Wednesdays and now here on Mondays. How are you feeling, though, with this performance here tonight, running up front for a little bit of it and coming away 5th?
It was definitely fun. Way more fun than being all the way in the back, but it was a good track. Definitely like the track.
Definitely a great run for you, Justin, man. First off, congrats on the top 5. That's awesome to see you go out there and get your first one of your career here. You know, you were in the 19th position coming to the white flag. You know, tell us how you made it there coming off of turn 2. I mean, it definitely, helped that you were a little farther back there, of course, but man, what a great job making it through all the chaos.
Yeah, I had a terrible restart coming there, and I thought it was over. And we went to the final lap, and I just saw everyone wrecking on the backstretch. And I just pretty much held the throttle down and wheeled it through there, and got pretty lucky. Made it through.
You certainly did make it through. Justin, I know this has been a fun experience for us personally because we've been watching you get your experience and getting faster each and every week. What has it been like trying to prepare each and every race for each race that you go into on Monday nights and on Wednesday nights?
Just good amount of practice. This one, honestly, I didn't practice as much, but I didn't really know what going into it because I knew this was a good track. But yeah, definitely not as much preparation on this one as the other ones.
Well, Justin, it was still spectacular seeing you up front competing with the oddball strategies and having yourself in the track position to compete earlier in the race. And congratulations on making it through that chaos on that last lap for a top 5 finish. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any more shout outs.
Definitely a shout out to my brother for being such a good coach on like what to do, what not to do, what like steering offsets or brake settings, whatever that I should have before the race. Definitely is a big help going into these things.
I mean, Justin, again, we are surprised on the finish, but proud to see how well you were able to come away there at the end and survive throughout this race. Congratulations on 5th. Enjoy this one, and good luck next week at the Tricky Gateway course.
Thank you.
As that will finish up our interviews here tonight. A wild one overall, but certainly a shocker. Again, we had 2 different money prizes out there. We had the MoCast 5 drivers. Both had 5 drivers. Whoever finished the highest got a little bit of money on the side. Cedric Hunter wins the MoCast 5. And then on the Blackjack Dash that happened, it was actually John Forbes in the 11 machine who finished back in 14th that wins that competition. Crazy to see how those 2 came away. But here's how the rest of the field came away with their finishes as we take a look at our unofficial results of the night. Nick Crawford comes away with the win. Vincent Sora 2nd, Cedric Hunter 3rd, with Justin Campbell, after getting through all this chaos, comes away 4th. Justin Forbes 5th. 6th is Ollie Fonseca. Joshua Kanata 7th. Joshua Stovall, the Josh is coming away 7th, 8th. And then in 9th is Mason Cassidy and Larry Yingling coming away 10th. I mean, I would say, Zach, that if you didn't see the last 5 laps, you look at the top 4, you'd say, okay, that makes sense. Everything else behind 5th was kind of chaotic. That must have been where the wreck started, but it was second on back where the madness took off, coming off of turn 2.
It really did. And the likes of Danny Cochran there, 13th, John Forbes, 14th, Mark Whitley back in 18th. All those drivers right there in the mix of all that. Tyler Dingler even finished the 16th. He was in the runs for a good run for himself, so that's a tough break for sure. But, we look through the rest of this order, it's really just, a lot of cautions we had here tonight, and a lot of the guys in here were involved in those cautions early and took the biggest hits we've seen, of course, tonight. Is I think Christopher Norris and maybe a few others will compete to see who took the biggest hit, because there was definitely some huge hits they took here.
There certainly were. I know Isaac Shelley's going to hope to get back out there on track next week after getting the computer situated. But man, what a wild race, and it only gets wilder from here. Again, we usually give you the coverage of the Challenger Racing League on Tuesdays. We're taking this Tuesday, tomorrow off. We'll be back next Tuesday for their end of the regular season race at Bristol. Then on Wednesday, it's the start of the championship round. 6 drivers made the championship round, but they all start at 0 points as they head to North Wilkesboro this Wednesday to start that championship round. 2 races. Whoever's got the most points will hoist that Season 9 championship. Then if you want to see some super speedway action with the next gens, don't worry. We got multiple teams that look quick. I think this might be the most dynamic super speedway race that we've seen so far for the Doghouse Cup Series. You do not want to miss it. Thursday night, it's going to be a blast. And then we're right back here next Monday night. Gateway, where a track that brings the drama, and with the way I was hearing some of those drivers over the radio call at the end of tonight, Zach, I gotta say, next week, if they weren't fired up because of the last 2 races, counting tonight, they're gonna be fired up next week.
Oh yeah, those emotions are only going to boil over, so to say, Sam. So yeah, I tell you, Gateway could be in for a wild one, and I'm sure there'll be some requests to see what's going on in that boxing ring, so to say, after the likes of that race, because it's going to be for sure a lot of upset drivers, I think, exiting out of there. So we'll see how that shakes out. Then you got a road course, of course, where you can't get yellow flags. There's still a lot of beating and banging to be played. So we can see 2 weeks of definitely some bent fenders and bent feelings.
Absolutely. The quick, unique style course of Canadian Tire we've seen once in the past. We'll see if it brings out just as great racing action here in 2 weeks. Cannot wait for it, but for tonight, congratulations to Nick Crawford taking the gamble on tires. We saw what it was like just to have a 8-lap advantage on tires with Mark Whitley and Tyler Dangler. Give him a 18-lap advantage. Nick Crawford was flying. Cut through the field, saw the carnage behind him, and the 74 heads to victory lane here this evening. Congratulations to Nick Crawford. But for us here tonight, I want to say thank you to everyone that watched with us. If you are still watching, thank you so much. Best way to tell us and to show us if you're enjoying the show is hit that like button and subscribe. Subscribe and hit that bell notification button to be notified when we go live. Like you saw, we're live 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And we would appreciate those subscriptions because, again, it shows us that you're enjoying the broadcast that we give you. Each race, such a special one. But here tonight for Nick Crawford, runs a special scheme and gets a special win. Enjoy this one, Nick. But for us, we cannot wait for tomorrow night. It's going to be a blast. But for tonight, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., thank you so much for joining with us. Been a pleasure to give you the call here at Michigan. Had its ups, had its downs, and the madness just continued on. Crawford takes the win for the Blackjack Dash for Cash 150. And for us, cannot wait for next week. Gateway, it's going to be a madhouse. Don't want to miss it. But for tomorrow night, it's going to be a blast as well. I mean, in 2 days, on a Wednesday. Don't want to miss it. Start of the championship round. 6 drivers enter. 1 gets to hoist the trophy. You don't want to miss it. North Wilkesboro, Wednesday night. It's our next Freaky Fast broadcast.